This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Greiner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. It doesn't matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix and clean and customize it. McDonald Boneyard of Keota, Iowa, for all of your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's your choice. Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Check out their Facebook page for new hours and menu items. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snow blowers. B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops. Save 15 cents per gallon with the BP app at all locations. CW Tree Trimming LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veterans discount. Iowa Technology Systems delivers expert IT management that keeps your business running by ensuring your systems stay online and secure. Visit iowatechsys.com. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, me, John Bain.
It's Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, the first Thursday of the month. That means it's department head meeting time once again with the Henry County, Iowa Board of Supervisors here at the Emergency Management Building in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Lots more on the agenda, so let's go inside and take it all in, all 3 hours of it in.
Please rise and pledge allegiance to your upper front. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to convene the July 2nd, 2026 meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors. Do a member roll call and notation of secretary.
White.
Here.
Dietrich.
Here.
Lindeen.
Here.
And Robin Dietrich, County Auditor.
Thank you. First item is approval of the consent agenda, approval of board minutes, and the approval of financial claims for repayment if there's anything.
Motion to approve the minutes,
I'll
the
second.
agenda.
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Aye. First item, new business, department head meeting. I'm gonna postpone it just a little bit. Steve, you said you had Sarah Dickmeyer
Yeah, we do.
with Schneider brought up.
Somewhere, Gunner. Sarah, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, Sarah, you're on screen. You're in front of the board and the audience that's present, so just want to let you know that, so.
Great, thanks. Yep. Thanks for inviting me back here.
You bet. We had the email that you sent day before yesterday and reviewed. like to open discussion on that? You bet.
You want me to go first, Steve?
Sure.
I saw nothing, that alarmed me whatsoever at that, and, I would be in favor of, signing a contract with Schneider.
I would agree with that. I think everything that Sarah has given us is a pretty good overview of where we're at. I think we just need to keep in perspective. We're already paying those folks monies, and that comes off the contracted price that we're talking about. So I think the difference is, I don't have that in front of me, $25,000 roughly. So today, obviously, Nate's group is the primary user of that, right?
Right, so, yeah, let me just start by saying, I thought a lot about this last night, and I probably getting a little late to the game here. When you guys talk about, I look, when you have in the meeting minutes to potentially move, GIS over to IT, that makes 0 sense to me. When our office, so everything that is in Schneider Beacon currently comes from our office. So Vanguard software, when we update the VCS software, put in the square footage of the home, the year of the home, the year it was built, all that data that goes over to Beacon comes out of Vanguard. Okay, that's the software that only our office even utilizes or even knows anything about, and we're in it daily, okay? We're in Beacon Schneider daily on the Beacon maps. When any edits to GIS are being done, it's done through ESRI. It's not done through Schneider Beacon. It's done through ESRI, ArcMaps. So any edit has been done in our office by Joanne. So it splits, merges, when Jake does a road, by the road right away, puts that in the map. All the maps that are changed or adjusted come out of our office. Joanne does that work. So we are primarily just working in GIS. We work in GIS on the daily. So in my opinion, at this point, we will miss Joe leaving. Joe does a lot of our GIS stuff, and I kick over $15,000 towards his salary for the GIS work that he does. There had been, I get emails on shapefiles, and I forward them directly to Joe, and he takes care of it. Joanne, we've already tried to nip that in the bud, so Joanne is trying to learn how to do the shapefile stuff. We get a thing from Main Street, Mount Pleasant every year, the total valuation on Main Street, Mount Pleasant. I send that to Joe, he puts it together on the map and sends it off. Joanne learned how to do that. So as we're moving along, we have been taking more responsibility in the GIS arena. And in my opinion, the budget already comes out of my budget, $27,000 a year, the Beacon Schneider hosting and the add-ons that we have for the assessment layers. We have already paid that. And then, so I honest to God think, and I know I'm late to the game, I don't think we need to sign an additional contract at the moment. I think that we continue on with the contracts we have at Schneider Beacon, and as we need support, we'll pay them, and we can get a better idea of what package is gonna work best for Henry County. I think we're making a knee-jerk reaction for a solution that we've already been working on, as we know that Joe is exiting.
I'm glad you spoke up, because Gunnar and I had this conversation as well, so we were hoping that you would jump in there, because obviously you're the power user, and the only intent there was to see if IT would help facilitate the integration, but to have you and your team, specifically Joanne, who is the acclimated power user person here, to be able to be the expert to help us all through that, so.
And I wanna clarify on that, when you say there's like, maybe trying to limit the amount of hands that go into the GIS, when roads department is looking at maps, they're just looking at the maps. They're not editing, they're not making any changes to the maps.
Understand.
They have an ESRI, they do pay their ESRI contract for their software that they have at their office, but they don't, as far as I know, they don't, if they have any edits they need, they will have Joanne make the changes in the maps.
Okay.
So they're just using it for viewing purposes only. I think most other entities are probably using GIS, but they're using the map feature. They're not making edits in GIS. They're not manipulating the data inside of GIS. And everything that we do in our office directly goes into the Schneider Beacon software. And whether it's through ESRI, the Eagle View flyover every 3 years, that's all maintained out of our office, and I pay for all that already. I think that we can absorb the GIS. I would, rather than pay the $15,000 like I've been to General Basic, keep that $15,000 in our office so I can send Joanne to ESRI classes to get more training on maps and send her to more Schneider stuff. I think we could utilize that $15,000 a lot better than we have, just by taking her, sending her to more training, more classes. And I know the package that they're offering is a good one, but I think that we could maybe tailor it more to our needs in Henry County as we move forward, and do that on an a la carte type basis, where, okay, this is where we fall short here, let's get Schneider involved, and then figure out how much that's gonna cost us and get an idea of what package is gonna fit best for us. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I was wrong 3 times last year. That's my 2 cents, maybe 5 cents, I don't know, whatever.
Could I just address the crowd here and address Nate there a little bit too?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, no, certainly appreciate that, and absolutely, we're definitely not underscoring any of the effort and the level of involvement that is currently at place. Yes, absolutely, in terms of all of the data editing, as far as the parcel information goes, and there are lots of offices that do rely on that accurate ownership information in those parcel lines and so forth, and that's why we're not, basically talking about duplicating any of those services or anything. The proposal in front is to help all of these other offices who might not just be reflecting on the map, right? We talked about the ideas of, you don't know what you don't know. Like the idea of us coming in is to be able to kind of roll up our sleeves, talk with each of the individual departments about leveraging and expanding upon the investment that has been in place for 20 plus years. We want to get the most out of the GIS. We want insights into the data. We want analysis of information. We want to help all of your offices do more with less. And so we can continue to support the assessor's office in what we're doing. And we talked to Joanne about additional training and so forth. But a large of these hours, and I think Joe even alluded to it, is like, you guys have a lot of work to do. Like, I know secondary roads can do a lot. We talked about with public health, right? There was some questions in the conversation in the group meeting about all of these ideas about how the expanded services could work. So, obviously, yes, prudence on your budgets and so forth, but I think we're talking about keeping the lights on with what the assessor's office is doing and not touching that at all, but then utilizing that base information and growing it and getting more insights into it with all of these other pieces and puzzle parts that rely on that accurate ownership and parcel information.
Nate, with what you said, that would give a real live face at the window for somebody to help as well, right?
Which we do already. I mean, people come in all the time wondering where the property lines are. That's not necessarily GIS work, that's printing a map and saying, well, this is where it shows your line. I mean, that's, that's pretty daily, not daily, but pretty often we get people come in wondering, questioning where their boundaries are, or where the fence line is, is it on my neighbor's property, that kind of stuff. That's all done in our office anyway, already, I guess, I don't know. I just feel like it's not broke, don't fix it, but that's my opinion.
My opinion is it's not broke, and we're just making it better. We're just upgrading and doing more, like Sarah said.
Well, you're throwing gas on a fire, because you're getting the expanded package of stuff that we're probably not gonna use, including a trip to Georgia, airfare and hotel included. I think that's a waste of taxpayer money, in my opinion.
We don't have to use all of that. We're gonna tailor,
We're gonna
my understanding is we're tailor making this for what we need for our other offices. Am I correct, Sarah?
I would agree with that, yes. Yep, and there is the option, if we need to relook at the basic level that does enhance the beacon site, that isn't in that second level, but there is tremendous insights too in the users conference and so forth too, if that is an avenue by which you guys want to explore, so.
Gunnar had a question, or some input.
Aside from the contract, I'll leave that to the entities that use GIS more to determine what's best for the county in that regard, but the overall plan, I mean, from an integration standpoint, I think just with how IT operates, we'd be involved and would help assist Schneider if we move forward in that direction, just getting them assimilated into the systems they need. There'd be some work with Joe before he goes, just to make sure we know where everything's at and located, things like that. But the overall premise of having Joanne being the power user and the main point of contact for Schneider or GIS issues, I think I agree with Nate on that. As far as the contract goes, you guys would know, these parties would know more about how that'll operate better for the county.
Anything further?
So Sarah, we could look at the contract a little bit, and,
Yeah.
and then as we go along, you would tailor it to more how we're using it?
Yeah, if the initial agreement was the prorated version for the rest of this year, and then year 2 would go from July 1 of 2027 through June 30th of 2028. Nate did ask, Nate, did you provide the additional information that I provided to you to the rest of the board?
I did not.
Okay, he had asked for some additional information, of which I did, so if there are other options of which you want to explore, those have been presented, and certainly can talk through those before we hammer out, any specifics of it. But I think the question today is, whether or not to continue to look to Schneider to assist in augmenting the services that Joe had, for the rest of Henry County. And there's certainly options there which we can, hammer out more of a scoping type session. Whether we need to back out, the largest part, I think that Nate's referring to, is the Beacon Essentials package, of which was proposed. So the Beacon Essentials package was more of a back office type assessor's tool. But if that is something that is not of value, we talked about those 6 additional assessment mapping layers that would come in with that. But if, we need to scale that back, we can move it down into a Beacon basic bundle, of which still will modernize the Beacon site and provide a lot of those features and functionalities that are standard today in a public information portal. And it does cut back a few $1,000 from my proposal on it. That's the biggest difference. But as far as the 96 flex hours and the 4 days on site on an annual basis, again, that those hours and time would be dedicated mostly for the rest of the departments at Henry County.
Sarah, can you hear me from back here?
Sorry, good.
Jill,
Sorry.
you
I'll
come
come
forward.
up so you can hear me.
Oh,
Is it
that's
something,
Joe. Okay. Hi.
is it something that we could do to set up some process for you guys to come down for a day or two, whatever that contract might be, and do an evaluation, talk to me, I can show you where things are, what we're doing, what we think we need, and then you can you still hear me?
Yep, no, I followed you, yeah.
You're gone on the
And
screen,
so
so
when you're talking about evaluation, what, in
evaluate.
terms of the hours and the on-site time, or?
Well, just evaluate what we have, what you think we need to do going forward, what you think you can do for the other departments. You can put together a proposal telling them, what your value is going to be going forward, and maybe tailor it a little more that way. Because you have some idea what we have, but you really don't know. I can get in a day or two, I can get into the nuts and bolts of what we have.
Sure, yeah.
You could see, this needs work. I know there are things that need work. You can have a much more directly tailored proposal, and we can talk about the other offices and what you can do for them, and you can, send something out to everyone a little more specifically than what we currently have, and get a little more buy-in that way.
And you can figure out how we're gonna shift the burden of cost between the departments on what they need to expand the GIS on. If Rose Department needs something, it comes out of their budget. If we find something that's gonna benefit our office, it comes out of our budget. And it's not just the $30,000, throw $30,000 at it and hope it sticks.
I have a concern that we're gonna buy 96 hours. I have a concern we're gonna buy 96 hours and struggle to use it.
I agree, 100%.
And I think, if you come down and look at what we have, you may find out that we don't need that much, or you may find out that you've got enough things that we don't know we need, that we may need that much.
Doesn't our current contract have a day on site per year anyway? I think we have a day on site per year through Schneider Beacon with their current contract. Am I
Yeah,
mistaken?
that contract was going to get, rolled up into that was canceled. And so that net new increase was just going to be the difference. Like, we've already, adjusted those 2 days of onsite, I think it was 2 days? That was on the historical, contract, but it was a flex support, so that was taken into consideration of this. It wouldn't be those days plus the 96 hours, it was just across the board 96 hours, and that's why we were gonna be able to cancel the, whatever, $11,000 in change invoice that was already sent to the county.
But what I'm saying is we have a day of on-site work, and we could utilize that day from our current contract to figure out what we really need to move forward. Because we've never utilized a
And
day.
that is a
We've never had
revoke now,
Schneider
yeah,
Beacon
that
in the
it's
office
not
for a
an on-site
day.
contract anymore, so we don't have any, we were not currently contracted to do any on-site work now.
Guess I was wrong.
But the onboarding session of which we proposed, I mean, we could separate that and say, hey, let's do a 2 days departmental type meeting. Or, you know, if budget is a concern, we can absolutely scale this back and, just when we've stepped into situations like this, the model of the 8 hours a month, plus the 4 days on site on a yearly basis tend to work well. But again, there's not a one size fits all, by any means. So if we wanted to, you know, scale the 96 hours back to 48 to start, and then you can always increase it up too. Yeah, that's absolutely an opportunity. It's just from the initial conversations we heard and knowing kind of the system from the 20 plus years we've been helping you, like our team felt pretty confident in saying that this was gonna be a good fit for Henry County.
But it's a package that's offered, nothing is tailored in that package to Henry County. The essential package is offered to every state county in Iowa. It's not tailored to Henry County. We need to have a more tailored plan. That's my opinion.
If we could, if this was, yeah, and I apologize, like I use this as an opportunity for the modernization of the Beacon platform, because I know you and I had chatted about some upgrades and updates in the past, and there was some value associated to the assessment mapping layers and so forth. So if we want to just, I mean, these are two different thoughts then. So if we want to talk about replacing Joe, right, and not replacing, right, we can look at that individually, and we don't even have to touch the Beacon website. We can unravel that from this bundle proposal completely and just say, hey, 4 days of on-site time plus the 96 hours, and then leave Beacon as is and don't touch it. And then over time, if we want to look at it and say, hey, what are we missing? We could spend more time. We can always do, you know, an add-on agreement at some point in time. But I just use it as an opportunity. Since we were getting under the hood to take a look at a lot of things, this could be a good opportunity. So we can absolutely unravel any of the Beacon modernization discussions at all.
The new ag, I forget what it's called, the ag module that we're currently doing an ARC map is being rolled into Beacon. Where is that gonna fall into this process?
Yeah, it was still, you guys are paying maintenance on ag land, and that was part of this proposal too. It's just, we're continuing to move that over. There was no new net spend for that. It was just the carrying over, and it was listed as a line item. And so once the Beacon SaaS version of ag land is available, we'll begin rolling that out, and you guys will have that available to the county. Nothing changes in terms of your licensing structure, you know, or the usage. It's just migrating from the desktop version into the SaaS version. And you guys are current on maintenance, and you'll get that when it's ready.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was how that worked.
Yep, it's still part of it.
Nate, with Joanne, does she have time to pick up extra duties that you were talking about? I mean, does she have that ability to pick up those extra duties?
Well,
I know she does some of it
master
already,
fit. She's in the ARC maps, like 90% of the day of her time is spent doing the ARC maps, you know, answer the phone, window time, that kind of stuff. But her primary duties are in ARC maps. That's where she lives it. I mean, if we do it the way I want to do it, we'd spend some more money with ASHRAE training and get Joanne to be more of the GIS expert, as it were. And those are expensive. Those classes, there's gonna be a couple $1,000s for a class. But she would have that knowledge, and it stays, you know, we can build on that through her, I believe.
I think we're talking about two different things entirely, Nate.
Well, I don't think you guys understand GIS at all, because when you guys talk about shifting it to IT, that's when I said, these guys don't even know what we're talking about. They're gonna make a
No,
decision on
that-
something they
that's
have no
a di-
idea.
That's a different thing. Get rid of the IT portion, okay? Because there's been discussion that, you know, IT really doesn't need to be involved. We just brought that up in the meeting that we had Monday. But what you want is something for Joanne to do with that ESRI, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, and what Sarah's offering is something different than that entirely, in my mind, how I understand it and what was told to me on Monday. So I think we can combine what you want and what she's offering in the world that we're trying to get to.
Jake?
My only, I think roads, there's opportunities for us. I'm not really excited right now to jump into a lot of this stuff. I think there's some great things that we'd like to do. I just don't know how that specifically, what those costs are, like how much of that additional cost is going right to roads on that. What maybe I would request is like next week, early in the week, could we get the people that are using this together to go through this proposal in a little more detail? Because we had a presentation last week on it. From Beacon, and that was a good presentation, but I think some time to say, what does this look like, what's a day? And I think that's with Joe, I think that's with Nate, that's with the users. Let us take their packet and spend a little bit more time and make a report of like, okay, does this work for us? Because I think we're in the weeds right now. I just think we need to get back. Is there a rush to us to do it today? Or can we push this off and come back and say, now Nate, Joe, we've sat down, reviewed it, and here's the things or questions that we have that we have some back and forth on, or maybe one of you be a representative on it. But when I read the email about IT and stuff, I don't have an issue with IT. I have an issue whenever we add a middle person in the communication of who we're dealing with. So like in Nate's situation, if he has an issue, he wants to change and wants to directly talk to Schneider, it scares me a little bit when we say, well, now you need to get somebody else's approval before you can contact. So when you're talking about where we're coming from, that's slowing progress down. That's what we've had in the past with other issues on other entities that we were not allowed to talk to unless you had approval from somebody else to make sure it was okay. And I think that's where we're really, it's not that we're against IT helping facilitate different things, it's that we don't want to have okay every time that we need to get something fixed, because Joanne has an issue, she wants to fix it that day and not wait. And it's not on gun or anything like that, but it's just a general process that, and speaking out of bounds, but I think that made us a little nervous when you read that.
You remember the old game telephone when you were a kid? You whisper something to this guy and then he whispers to this guy, and by the time it gets to the end, it's not even what the person initially said.
Well, I for one, Nate, you said decisions are being made by people that don't work within that system. I, for one, will be the first to admit, I do not work in that system. I do not fully understand what that system is. That's what I gotta rely on the department heads that utilize that service to make the best, well-informed decision on how that can be utilized. And I feel like I gotta rely on the people that use it, because I don't. I don't use it, other than Beacon, look at property or stuff like that. But I think it would be wise to glean that information from the people that do use it to see how best to implement it into our needs.
And I'm sure there's things that Schneider has to enhance what we currently have. I just don't think we can do that as we move forward and find where the gaps are. We don't know what all we're gonna lose when Joe's gone. But if we run into an issue where we can't figure it out, we're gonna lean on Schneider. We're gonna call Schneider. And whether we pay them for an hour of service or we have a contract that gives us 96 and we only use 20, why don't we just go, oh, this is where our gaps are. Here's what we need to fill these, how do we fill these gaps? What you guys are doing is like, let's throw a $30,000 Band-Aid on it. When you're doing it blindly, you're not doing it with an educated mindset. You're just going, whoa, Joe's leaving, let's hit the panic button. I don't think that.
And that's why we're having this discussion, Pete. You're the power user, so we're gonna rely on you for
And
a
I
lot of
have
input.
I apologize, last night it just hit me, I'm like, I gotta get involved in this, because
And the
this thing
intent
is
was
getting
never
off.
to have IT facilitate and manage the whole GIS system. It's just to make sure that we're on board and everything is integrated from an IT perspective. And then you spoke up, so obviously we're gonna allow you and give you that opportunity to facilitate, because you're the expert, so, and you said you do it, so you're on the hook for it now.
I'm fine with
But,
that, that's fine.
So, yeah, I think to your point, Sarah, I don't know what the timeline is, you know, we all work on contracts with a lot of folks around here. Obviously, you know, the contract is due soon, so if we can work with Sarah and get a continuation, so you guys can pull together, and I'm gonna leave that.
Yeah, and we're, you know, the capacity that we're working in today, right, there's, like, you have time, absolutely you have time. The timing event was just Joe's retirement, right, of which kind of pushed this, and I think there was discussion about leveraging his insights into this, and so that's why, and we were aligning it to the new fiscal year. So, you know, obviously, we've been assisting many years, and that's not gonna change, and we obviously want to do what's right for the county. So if we need to put a pause button and have some additional conversations and you guys hammer things in, we still have a support agreement in place. It's just a, you know, a remote support type thing. And there's limitations to what that support package provides. It's not part of our staff augmentation team. And so when you talk about, you know, doing more insights with it, we don't have a lot there, but we do have some. So to Nate's point, if you need to take time and if there's things that the assessor's office can handle, by all means, go ahead and let Joanne and Nate, you know, handle it. And then above and beyond, if there's other needs and other requests, then we can talk about restructuring what we have for the county to provide more.
So Nate, with that, can you please get together with all the users?
Yeah.
And
I'll
set
do
up
that
a meeting
this time.
between now and next Thursday?
Something better this time, Steve.
Okay.
I just, question for Schneider, so like Joe was saying, how much would it cost to have somebody, rather than do the package deal, just to have somebody come down for a day? We can go through our system, show how we're utilizing it now, and then they can offer enhancements that we might be able to, like, a la carte pick which ones we would benefit from, rather than buying an entire package of stuff that we're probably not gonna use half of. Does that make sense? How much would Schneider charge us to have a day on site to look at our systems and see what they can do to enhance it within our program, how we're using it currently, and not just here's a good package deal.
Okay. Yeah, I think with your guidance, we can work through that. You're the power user, you're kind of all involved as much more so than anyone else here, to Jake's point as well. So if you can organize that meeting between now and next week, so we can talk about this next Thursday. I don't want to table a motion, I'd like to continue it to next week so that we have a definitive timeline, so that we can work with Sarah and make sure Sarah's in the loop. And as far as Joe's imminent retirement, I don't think we have a date on that yet. So we'll work with Joe to get that resolved, to understand where we are and leverage all the expertise in the short term.
So is that something that Schneider will be able to do between now and next Thursday? Are they gonna be able to, can we get a day with Schneider to come down? And how much is that gonna cost if we just do that a la carte? One day with Schneider in the office to review our systems, and we can tell them what we'd like to see enhanced, and just, it seems like, I don't know.
Sarah, is that something you guys can work out? Or is that
I
something you do
don't
remotely?
think anybody can be on site with a holiday weekend by next Thursday. I didn't know if the direction was more of your internal users are going to have internal discussions about ways and then present something back to us, and then we go through it. But I don't think we've ever done a session like what you're describing, but it doesn't mean that we can't figure that out. And whether, like I said, it's just that onboarding session separate from this agreement. I mean, we did have an onboarding session that was 44 or something like that, but again, that was, I think, 2 days of on-site time. So I can definitely go back to our GIS professional services team to see, the pricing on that. I don't do pricing, so I just have to deliver it back to the county. So
I think that's
can
kind of what
certainly
I'm saying,
check
Steve.
that.
You know, you're gonna say.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm talking to Steve, sorry. I'm talking
Oh.
to Steve Dietrich.
Sarah, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you hear Nate well enough?
For the most part, I think, but I think it was just seeing if he was addressing the question to me, but it sounds like he's talking to Steve.
No. So that's basically what I'm saying is, we don't know what we don't know. Why don't we just keep the contracts the way we have them currently, and as we see the gaps, even after Joe's departed, And let's say there's stuff we can't do it, we don't have anybody that knows how to do this task, well, that's when we go to Schneider and say, here's what we don't know how to do. And then they say, okay, well, we can do that for you. All right, and then we pay them for that work, rather than doing a all-in-one package deal that throws every bell and every whistle and every little shiny thing in it, you know.
I do,
We're
but
not-
I think that gets back to us having a meeting together, and to Sarah's point, let's talk amongst ourselves first to understand what we have and what we can do.
Right.
And then if we need help, we can come back to Sarah and ask her for maybe a team session or something that we can get her expertise on, but I still think we need to have that internal discussion, but probably a little more in-depth than where we're today.
Right.
So that we understand what we can do, and now that you're gonna be facilitating that, that'd be even better.
I think the problem with internally right now, trying to pick out the gaps in the system, you have to know how the system works to find those gaps. You need to know what GIS can do to know that this is something GIS can do to realize it's a gap. If you don't know that, you're never gonna recognize that gap. There's no way, because you don't have the expertise to see the gap. And I think that's the problem. Without Schneider, we don't have anybody here that's gonna recognize all those gaps once I'm gone.
In a one-day session with 2 hours with each department head, it's gonna be very difficult for us to map out, and that's why the bucket of hours seems to be a good fit and a good scenario and why we offer those. And again, if we need to scale back the hours for a year one, we absolutely can do that and say, hey, how did we do with the 48 hours this year? Or, maybe we don't even do on-site time. We do all of, there's an expense, obviously, of having somebody to come on site. So if it's just, hey, let's leverage just some additional hours and do 96 hours for this first year, see how we get along. And then that way, then we can still have coordinated discussions and give you a little bit of a taste as to, here's what we can do, here's how we can help. It's that example we shared up in Pocahontas County, Iowa, right? Like there was this ability to have to continue to provide these shape files out. Nate, you even mentioned it, like to the people who's requesting it. She's like, I just need an easier way to do it. I don't know how to do it. Like, is there a better way? Yeah, okay, let's just build up the script for you and you can do it. And off you go. And it saved so many hours. And so there's just little situations like that, to Joe's point, is we're not gonna know until we kind of sit with you and figure this out on a day-to-day basis of what's working, what's not, and what's needed. So that's the beauty of these flex support hours, right? Like we're flexible too, not only of how we use them, but how we structure them too. They come in bucket of 12. That's basically how we sell them. So that's how we got to the 96 on an annual basis. We were just assuming the 8 hours a month. But we can scale that back, and less, and there's always the opportunity to add more too. So again, we're here to make sure that we're providing the right solutions. We don't want to over provide if it's not necessary. Taking time and having additional discussions makes a lot of sense.
So with that, Chad, I'd make a motion that we continue this to next week after we have a meeting and follow up with Nate and his team
So your motion is to specifically next Thursday?
next Thursday. The 9th, yes.
Everybody heard the motion, would there be a second to Sue?
There is a second.
And just for clarification, I'm sorry, on the motion, that's just your own internal discussions. You're not asking anything of Schneider at this point between now and next Thursday?
That is correct. We are not asking anything additional from you folks at this point.
Okay.
What we want to do is have that internal conversation that Nate is going to facilitate. Have I said your name enough?
Yeah.
And then we'll look at your proposal, Sarah, and we'll put that all together and understand what we have, what we need, and hopefully we'll see some gaps. And to Joe's point, we don't know what we don't know, but it's a good start.
Yes,
We'll
and I
follow that
can
up.
send over the additional information I provided to Nate, and then if we need to even carve out completely any of the beacon modernization, I can take out that piece too and provide an updated proposal based on, 96 hours and 4 days on site too. So happy to provide any options that you guys might need.
Okay, thank you very much. And we'll know more after Nate gets together with his group and we'll figure that out. So thank you very much. We appreciate
Okay,
your support.
Yep, thank you. Yep, just appreciate the opportunity and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay, there is a motion and on the table and it has been seconded. Does anybody need clarification on what the motion is? Hearing not, indicate roll call.
White,
Yes.
Dietrich,
Yes.
Lindeen.
Yes.
Okay, Nate, it's kind of in your ballpark then, right?
Got it.
Okay, thank you. So,
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this obscene profit center timeout.
Pfeiffer Sawmill, your local home for kiln-dried lumber and affordable trailer decking to your specifications. All in Rome, Iowa, serving Mount Pleasant and all surrounding areas. Do you like to throw a hatchet? They've got your board. Call Ben today at 319-931-4544. Sanity. It comes in handy when you need it, and Sanity Coffee House will serve it up through coffee and pastry like God intended. If the beans were any fresher, you'd smack them. Sanity is home of the Mad Cow and caramel knowledge. Low on energy? Try their Lotus drinks. Special frappes and iced coffees await. Hungry? Go for a whole hog or a porcalypse. And a mac and cheese wrap will satisfy. Always high-speed Wi-Fi, so pull in and get your Sanity at 104 South Iris Street, Mount Pleasant, Iowa.
we're going to start with the department head meeting now. Roger, would you begin, please?
We had our meeting this last month with the commissioners. All were present except for the two new ones. One was on vacation and the other one was at a meeting in Wisconsin and unable to attend, but they'll be at our next one. So now we have 5 commissioners on our panel, and that's a good thing. Just to mention who they are: Jesse Howard from New London and Robin Daniels here from Mount Pleasant. You probably know him. He works a lot at the VFW Hall. So they are there. Had several meetings this last month in Iowa City concerning changes in the VA benefits is coming up, and what's in front of the government in order to get it passed, and we'll see where that ends out. But it seems like veterans information and administration changes all the time, every day, and you really have to stay up on it in order to provide what we're doing here in Henry County for veterans, okay? I gave you guys a copy of May's report from the regional office. Henry County now receives $790,650 a month from the VA for veterans here in Henry County, which puts us well over $1 million here in Henry County for veterans, and that's a good thing. And it's all non-taxable, so it's a great thing for veterans here in Henry County. I also gave you a letter from Jim concerning the office move for Henry County Veterans Affairs and his concerns, and also that represents what our commission discussed in part of the meeting that we had on Thursday. So with that in mind, that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Roger, I do have a question. The $790,000, is there any way to judge what would be available if every one of the veterans took all the benefits that were available in Henry County? Is there any way of calculating that at all? It's just
not, because you don't
because
know.
some won't.
Oh yeah, exactly.
At all, I know that.
Well, in actuality, you may have noticed that back when I started, we was at something like $80,000 a month. And back in the day, because they thought, like I used to think, give it to the people that really need it, and they never applied for anything, and who needs it, and so on and so on. Well, a lot of the things has changed, and people are starting, as they get older, they're starting to realize, quote unquote, that it's important to get into the VA. You earned it. And see, that's the thing that they don't understand. You served, you earned it.
Yeah.
You were deployed, you earned it, okay? You were in combat, you definitely earned it, okay? you don't have to be missing a limb in order to apply for it, okay? And that's a good thing to remember. So, actually, our hospital in Iowa City is rated number 5 in the nation. And there's a reason behind that, is that we have a lot of volunteer doctors come over from the university hospitals to do surgeries and counsel and things like that. And I remember about 40 years ago, I'm not for sure if I'd even take my dog up there because the place smelled like urine. My father-in-law, he was a big VA guy. He lived around Omaha. He always went to the Omaha one. So he came out here and we taken him up there. And I told my wife, I said, my God, never bring me up here, ever. And she says, okay. So, and then back in the day, we was living around Chicago, and I had an appointment because when I got out, I was service connected, and I didn't want the money, you know, to be honest with you, because I had a good paying job and had insurance and all this other stuff. So I had an appointment down in downtown Chicago. I went in at, what was it, 9 a.m. was my appointment, and I was working that day, of course. And so I went in at 9 a.m. I didn't get in until 3:30.
Oh, shit.
And I asked the doctor, I said, just keep your shit, you know? I've been sitting out here, I work for a living too, okay? And I've been sitting out, well, we've been really busy, well, whatever, okay? Maybe you ought to schedule your appointments a little better. And that really soured me against the VA. But now you couldn't talk me out of it, okay, be honest with you. So, and that's why we do so much advertising and stuff on the radio. We do a lot of things with the VFW. I do a lot of things with, like building ramps and stuff like that. Gary Ruth, he does a lot of that stuff through the VA and getting ramps built up to houses that need for wheelchairs and things like that, and modifying homes. It's a great thing, is that they do a lot of things for veterans that are in home. And then also there's aid and attendance. You go into a nursing home, yes, your spouse can get aid and attendance. You don't have to be the veteran that's in the nursing home, okay? It can be the spouse too. So they offer that to spouses, so that's a good thing. So with that in mind, that's it.
So I guess the end call, if you know somebody that is eligible or service related, encourage them to reach out to
Absolutely.
you and your counterparts throughout the state, wherever they might live, you know.
Absolutely.
Have them reach out, make that contact.
And July 14th, we have a veteran stand down over in Burlington, Iowa, downtown at the auditorium. It's gonna be a huge deal. We'll have state representatives there. We will have federal VA representatives there, and I will be there, as will all in District 1, which we're in District 1 for the VA down here, which includes Lee County, Johnson County, and those counties in District 1 will all be there. And it's a great thing, and it's something that family members can encourage veterans to go to and see what they have available to them, because a lot of them don't know, okay? And we got books and everything at the office, but you gotta stop by and get them, okay? Because I don't know if you're using them or not, okay? So it's important that they realize it, and family members need to convince them, you know, you earned it, you probably ought to go get it, okay? So.
And another thing, not to stretch this out, but can you break down the incentive system that is gonna be put into place? I hear little pieces and parts of it that
Incentives.
the incentives for, and the kickback to the counties and everything, the benefits per county have to go up, percentages or something?
There was a bill that was in the front of the House Representatives, that if you were in the lower quarter of the counties in the state of Iowa, there's 99 counties. If you was in the lower quarter, they was gonna take your $10,000 away from you that we receive every year. And that is for what we use to advertise veterans benefits, such as radio advertising, newspaper advertising, things that we go to, like the stand down presentation, and also we go out to Old Thrashers and set up a booth. That's what that money is used for, and also for office equipment like laptops and things like that. That's what it's provided for. They was gonna take that away. And then if you were in the upper quarter of it, you were only gonna get $5,000. Well, we're above that. We're getting our $10,000. That bill died on the floor at the house, okay? And the new one came out and they changed a lot of stuff in that too. It seems like federal government changes every day in things. And if you don't stay up on it, it soon will catch up to you if you don't. And actually, Taylor Collins probably thought I was a bug in his pants, because I was bugging him all the time about this thing before it was denied, because I call him every day, you know, where we stand here, what are we doing here? Here's a letter, I got a letter for you. And I'd go over and see him at his, he always has a meeting here in Mount Pleasant, and I would go there and I would talk, and then Robin Daniels was there one day and I didn't know he was gonna go, and we both stood up and we were talking to him about the whole situation. And he did a great job for us, as did Mike Morrison out of Des Moines. He's also does the same job as I do, but he's heavily involved into what goes on at the State House, and he's there about every meeting that they have. So he was heavily involved in that, and I was talking with him and sending him letters, and so was Collins, because I told Collins to get a hold of him and sit next to him so that they could see what was gonna happen, and that's what happened. It died, no.
Okay, thank you.
Kelly?
So during the month of June, we had our tax sale, the annual tax sale. We had 171 parcels that were delinquent, and we sold 146 of those parcels at the tax sale. The remaining ones are primarily mobile homes. So we had 734 registered bidders. They pay $45 per registration. That majority of it goes to the actual vendor that we use to do the tax sale, and the county retains $5. Again, it's not supposed to be a money-making situation, but when you have 734 bidders, it gets a little bit out of control. The amount that was for sale was $164,029. The amount that was paid ended up being $159,953. So roughly $5,000 didn't get sold. And again, that majority of it was mobile homes. We're starting to end our fiscal year 25-26, and we will begin hopefully the next couple weeks fiscal year 26-27. That involves a few offices getting everything together so that it moves over to us. The reports I've given you again are the investment balances, the motor vehicle, driver's license service retention, and the general ledger. So you'll notice that on the motor vehicle and driver's license collection, the retention has greatly increased to $326,353 for the fiscal year. That is what we retained as a county for the services that we provide for motor vehicle and driver's license in my office. That's pretty much what I got.
Questions, Kelly? Hearing none. Dixie Moberg, please.
Well, in May, I sent you guys the Board of Health report so that you guys could look at that at your leisure. We did do our normal number of clinics with extended hours. We administered 103 vaccines. We did do our chronic illness prevention and monitoring with our blood pressures. at Public Health, the Fellowship Cup at the Veterans Hall and the Salem Community Center. We have maintained some of our certifications. Our car seat safety technician attended a conference in Des Moines for training. We have followed up since then. She received training on new models of car seats and adaptive car seats for transporting children with special needs. We have since had an appointment with a family in need of that type of assistance, and we did deploy one car seat. There was a question at our last one as to the percent of our population that was pediatric that we served. And in the month of May, 73% of our client interactions were the pediatric population, which left 27% were adults that were served. We did do one disease investigation in May. That was under the direction of the Iowa Disease Surveillance System. Basically, they report to us when someone tests positive for one of our communicable and trackable diseases, and then we follow up to make sure that they get the care coordination and the testing and the treatment that they require. We also have a couple extra grant funding that are coming up. We're going to participate in Combat Cancer. It's a cancer prevention, screening, detection, and access to care initiative that goes across the rural Iowa counties. This grant's efforts are going to begin reaching the public probably in August. So we'll begin rolling out some of those initiatives. We also received some extra grant funding to be used before the end of November to boost our influenza A and avian flu response, specifically with our dairy, poultry, and swine farm workers. So it's to encourage them to be vaccinated so that they don't have any cross-contamination and that their productivity is not affected. We did serve a couple families with our newborn nurse visitation program with some home visits these people are typically referred to us, and then we're able to follow up with them and offer them the extra service and support they may need. We have assumed responsibility now of doing the monthly AED checks on our county AEDs that are located at the courthouse, conservation, veterans affairs, public health, secondary roads. I think the only one we're not doing is the one that's here. Walt's continuing to do that one. We did provide nurse presence and sun safety education to about 120 kiddos at Crooked Creek Camp this last month. And right now we're busy cross-training because we've started our recruitment efforts. We have a couple retiring nurses, one in September and one in November. So we've been working with Paul, and we have an ad running now for that particular recruitment effort. And this is just kind of an FYI, there'll be more about this, it's an ongoing thing. We did have to close clinic this last week, and the reason we had to close clinic is that our vaccine refrigerator, it's monitored both by us and remotely by an off-site service, and it was creeping up. We have a very narrow range on our vaccines, at which point if they reach a certain temperature, they are not viable anymore. So our nurses were on top of that, and we utilized a recently signed MOU with HCHC and moved our vaccine inventory to their pharmacy last Friday, which, not than having vaccines on site, we couldn't run our immunization clinics this week, so we communicated that via Facebook and online. And we have since had that fixed. They came in yesterday, that order parts, there's a refrigeration leak. So they've since fixed that. We're now taking the weekend to do a trial run with our temperatures before we move our vaccines back. So we'll move those back on Monday, and then we should have clinics again on Tuesday as normal. It was a big deal because we carry about $40,000 to $50,000 worth of vaccines, which would have had to have been basically, trashed. So it was a good catch, and HCHC Pharmacy, big shout out to them. They were able to accommodate us, and it was a win. So, you guys have any questions for me?
You said Crooked Creek Kid Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the one located right
It's north
like
of here.
north of Copy? Somewhere
Yes, I
in
believe
there?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a program in relationship with Washington County,
No,
or how's that work?
It was attended by sixth graders from our county. So we sent a nurse to address the sixth graders from our county. There was also 40 adult chaperones that were educated. And then there was a second nurse that came over from UIHC from the Holden Cancer Consortium. We worked together with them in order to do, it was a county outreach but in Crooked Creek, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caleb?
All right, good morning. So this last month, my staff and I have been trying to keep our head above water, literally. We were in dire need of rain, and boy, did we get it. So over the last month, a lot of our day-to-day operation tasks, duties have unfortunately gotten put on the back burner. Dalton and I, we spent really, every minute of every day checking the river, checking upstream gauges. Unfortunately, on the 11th, we closed both campgrounds. It was starting to back up into waterworks pretty bad. So luckily enough, by that following week, we reopened. They were talking potential for heavy rain, depending on what news station you listen to. Unfortunately, most of the area received 2 to 3 inches of rain. So once again, we had to close. So I don't think people fully understand the amount of work that goes into that. Luckily enough, we can remove all the electric pedestals, which there's a lot of them. They're awkwardly heavy. And moving, 60 plus picnic tables, dumpsters. And unfortunately, we did that after hours. So Dalton and I clocked out. Within a matter of an hour and a half, the river came up 1.5 foot to 2 foot this last go around. So we came in 6:30. We worked till 11 o'clock that night, trying to get everything, people evacuated. I guess, we had a lot of questions on why the river, stayed within its banks for the most part. And I'll be honest, I rather close it on our terms than having to come, getting a call from dispatch at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning and have to, scramble to get everybody evacuated. So, mess, there were a lot of mess. Waterworks was the worst. About 2 inches worth of slimy, stinky river muck covered the boat ramp and the roads. It took us almost half the day to get that cleaned up. People were, moving our barricades. Originally, I had 2 concrete blocks, but after talking with Rich, the concern of, hey, if we did have emergency on the river. So I want to thank Jake and Secondary Roads for giving us some A-frame barricades, but people were moving them. They were there for a reason, for public safety. So that's just, some of the issues, and a lot of people wanted to come check the river out. I get it. But it definitely made it difficult for my staff and I to get things cleaned up late that night. And I'd like to thank some people from the public that just happened to be through the area and stopped and helped us, as well as a couple of our board members. If they wouldn't have been there, it would have lasted into the wee hours of the early morning for Dalton and I to get it cleaned up. So moving on, we're cleaned up, everything's reopened for the busy 4th of July weekend. It's going to be busy for us. Dalton is on call, so he'll be coming in randomly throughout the weekend, just making a presence throughout our parks. One thing I do want to mention, yes, I get Independence Day, we want to have a good time, but safety, for everybody is number one priority. And I think Rich could probably agree with that. Fireworks, they're cool, but listen, it is a safety issue, liability issue. We do not allow fireworks in any of our county parks. Unfortunately, this past week, people have been pre-gaming, and we have picked up a lot of debris from fireworks, especially at Gibson. And it just seems like the littering has gotten worse throughout the county. The amount of time that my staff and I take to pick up trash, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. We need to have clean areas. We could be doing more productive things. Pick up after yourselves. My staff and I aren't your parents. We're not, our job is not to pick up after people. So just be mindful of that. No, we will be, enforcing that if we have issues, which we've had in the past, people shooting off campground, fireworks in, or especially our campgrounds. Be respectful to others, more or less. We've had a lot of questions, concerns, complaints about the tree pile up behind the dam. We're aware. I guess I want to make that clear. We got a cost estimate early spring into last year for $30,000 to clean up the trees. That's a lot of money. And with our budgets getting cut, across the county, especially my department, I just have a hard time spending 30 grand to remove a whole bunch of trees. I understand it's the conservation department's responsibility. This contractor that we ended up getting a cost estimate for was also hired to remove all the debris behind bridge piers upstream. I'm not saying all of those trees that were removed they got kicked downstream. I would say a percentage of those trees did get stuck behind the dam. I'm having a really hard time with paying for that twice, especially county taxpayer money. So we're gonna have to have that conversation. I know Steve was at our board meeting last night and I brought it up. I think it's gonna be a conversation that my board, myself, secondary roads, and the supervisors need to have. It's gotta happen. The amount of money that we have paid via taxpayer money, FEMA dollars, federal dollars to clean debris behind that dam will blow your mind. And my staff and I are looking into it, how much money we have spent as a county to pay for the removal of these trees. We've had people trying to light matches to it and try to burn it up for us. We've had, especially with the high river, just open the gate. It's not that simple, folks. We can open that gate, but when the river's already bank full, threatening to come out of its banks, if you open that gate, we can drop the river level by 2 to 3 feet, just like that. So that is gonna cause downstream flooding. I'm a downstream landowner. I know some people that are sitting in this room are downstream landowners. You're contributing to the flooding. It's a liability. And also, some of this debris, it's not gonna go through that gate, a 12 to 14 foot gate. It's gonna get stuck. So if it gets stuck, what do? Trying to get somebody with an excavator down there immediately to get it removed, just that liability. People don't understand and Dalton and I, we've opened that gate. We've tried flushing stuff through and the gate has quit working. We've had to drain the hydraulic fluid from that, and we have to catch every single drop of, hydraulic fluid so it doesn't pollute our waters. So there's a lot of moving parts in that, and I'm afraid, and I'm gonna be the bearer of bad news, we need to have some pretty in-depth conversations of the future of that dam. Same with the footbridge. And I'm not afraid to have those challenging conversations, but they need to be had. We can't continue to spend thousands of dollars to clean behind this dam. It's just ridiculous. If we can get, we need to have a solution, a wing dam to divert stuff. Yes, we can still open, to flush things through if need be, but we need to have the conversations and they need to start, I feel, sooner rather than later. We've been getting so many calls and complaints about it. It needed to be brought up. Lastly, we've been getting, a lot of calls. What's the river gonna do? Is it gonna flood? Is it safe to camp? So it's just been a month for my staff and I. It just seems like we've been chasing our tail. Positive thing, it's nice and hot. Be safe out there. We had a board meeting last night as well. Talked about some ongoing issues and projects. Enjoy your holiday weekend.
Has there been any actions taken or discussions further on that wing dam?
I
that
have
jetty
not,
to-
I'll be honest, all my time and effort's been to getting the parks cleaned back up. You know, we've lost at least 2 weeks worth of, you know, camping revenue. So I'll be honest, I have not had time to look into it. But yeah, like I was saying, we need to have a solution, you know. Unfortunately for us, you know, if we were to put in a wing dam, you know, there's a lot of hoops and hurdles. You know, DNR Sovereign Lands is gonna have to be, Army Corps of Engineers, we will have to get a permit to build something of that nature. So anything to do with redirecting the flow of a major waterway, there's gonna be a lot of, you know, it could be 2 years, who knows? I've tried reaching out to the Army Corps engineer and all I get is recordings. Push 6 to talk to this person. I just wanna talk to somebody. They want you to send an email, well, you have to set up an account. So I just feel, yes, I've thought about, I've got a contact with the Army National Guard to see if they'd be willing to tackle this project, but you know, I feel before we take that next step, we need to figure out a solution before we drop 30+ thousand or whatever it's gonna take to clean up those trees. I just don't feel that it's a wise use of taxpayer money.
Caleb, I'll take the initiative here and we'll set up a meeting with Jake and talk a little bit about how we're doing that stream cleaning and behind the bridge piers, and we'll talk through and see what we can do. Maybe there's a better solution down the road.
And two,
then
we
we'll
talked
take that
about
on.
it last night, you know, is that something we need to budget for? You know, and I don't know if the safety, you know, it is a safety concern, because I know I've gotten calls where kids or people have been walking out on the tree debris. You know, is that something, you know, we should probably discuss at a safety meeting? But I just feel that, you know, the blame is getting pushed onto my staff and the conservation board, and we do not have the money to continue to do this.
Well,
So
talk through that.
yeah, and I'm all for having the conversation, so I think it's.
To your point, it's gotta be a better way, so
Yeah.
we'll see what we can do.
Gunner?
So this last month, Brad and I were gone at the ITAG conference, which is the conference for all GIS and IT people throughout the counties associated with ISAC. So we were gone from the meeting last month. That was a very good conference. Brad and I learned a lot, got to meet with a lot of the vendors we correspond with most weeks. Got a lot of training sessions revolving around emerging technologies, new threats to worry about, how to start tackling AI policy, just general IT policies for the county. It gave us a lot to think about, so it was a good use of our time for those 3 days. As far as what we've done since the conference, I've kind of reached out to different people throughout the county to assemble a team to kind of be a oversight for the website and kind of look at different options, either with continuing hosting with our current vendor, which is Solutions, or looking at different options for having the site redesigned or looked at to see if we want to update our site and make it better. In 2028, I believe, we have to be compliant with ADA regulations, which is font size, different things of what you view on the screen have to be ADA compliant, which I forget the disability.
American Disability Act.
American Disability Act, there we go. So we're looking at that, and we've talked with Solutions a little bit to see what they're doing, and they're making steps to make sure that we start to improve towards that goal, so we're ADA compliant by the deadline. We're getting the feel out for different vendors that might host our website to do the same thing at a better price, things like that. And since I've started here, poor Jake has had issues with his radio towers, and we finally made some progress on getting some of that fixed, and I'm hoping by the end of this month we will have his radio towers working. But we made some progress there, and that's been a fun issue to have. So sorry, Jake, that's taking so long, but we're getting there. Yeah. Brad completed an upgrade for public health. We switched out all of their old equipment, laptops, and they had all-in-one or desktops. We switched them out to laptops because a lot of their staff is pretty mobile throughout the county for different things that they hold for immunizations or testings. So we got that done. We're also starting to get upgrades for our Wi-Fi systems here at the different county buildings. Emergency management was the first one, so we could do a lot more out here, and there's a little box in the back that blinks a lot of lights. That's what that is. That's all I really have for you guys now, because we talked about GIS, and it looks like I'm on the agenda further down, so I'll wait for that.
I got one thing that kind of has a nexus between IT. Dixie, that you were needing a tower or a antenna put on your building. Has that been taken care of?
It's been done, it's working now, we passed our latest HAN test yesterday.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Gunnar, just a couple of little things. You still working on the fire suppression system?
Yes, we have one of the two quotes back, or estimates, I guess would be a better way to say it, of what it would roughly cost for that room size, to just put in the fire suppression system.
Right.
Nothing else, no electrical work, nothing like that, just what a company would feasibly have to do, based on what, the size of the room is and what we were thinking.
And then the other question was, obviously we had a lot of computers that need to be upgraded. They're sitting in the office, and so how are we doing there?
I think we're down to the last two have been unboxed, and they are going out to the sheriff's department.
Perfect. And are we still on target for the solutions upgrade?
Say that one more time?
The solutions server?
Yes, it's in place. We've met with one of their technicians. We did some of the legwork to get it operating on the network, and there's a little bit more to do, which shouldn't take long, and then it's just waiting for their technician to be available to do the cutover from our old one to the new one.
Okay, good progress, thank you.
And Vicki.
Okay. All right, so in the month of June, we're very happy to report we were able to get back $68,000 that had been taken from an elderly citizen in the county. That money was very quickly returned when we started working on the case, and the individual has her plea hearing set for July 13. There's no sentencing date yet, but that should be coming up shortly. We contacted the prosecuting attorney's training coordinator division at the Iowa Attorney General's office, and they're going to be coming down on July 10 to present a 4-hour training at the sheriff's office. It's going to be related to OWI and traffic-related investigations. The sheriff was very excited to have that happen, and been working really closely with Jesse. He's been instrumental in getting that all set up. That'll be from 8 a.m. till noon, and it's for all law enforcement in Henry County, as well as most of the surrounding counties have also been invited. RSVPs are coming in, but we don't have a final number for how many will be attending that.
I think our room's about full, Becky.
About full?
Yep.
He mentioned we might have to move to City Hall if we get too many.
Yes.
So,
We're not there yet.
good problem to have. And we're bringing the cookies and coffee.
Cool.
So, okay. So as far as court dates coming up, we have Judge John Wright is in district court currently. Court service days are on Mondays. We have one case on the jury docket. Well, we had one case on the jury docket for June. Gearing up for trial, it wound up settling. The defendant decided to take the offer right before trial, so we did not have to go to jury then. We have 4 cases pending for possible jury in July, on July 14. We'll just have to see what happens there, if they're all ready to go, or which one's ready to go, or if they wind up being reasonable and working out something ahead of trial date. District Associate Court is Judge Jonathan Stensvog, and the court dates in July are the 8th and the 22nd for him. Magistrate Court, we pretty much have Magistrate Court every morning. Busiest days, though, are Mondays and Fridays. So if you want to see a lot of people funneling through that 3rd floor of the courthouse, that's the busiest time to come and see people coming through. And I think that was it. So thank you.
And that's not counting the reviews and things of that nature on policy and agreements and everything like that.
Yeah. I have my to-do list of things I'm working on for various county offices, working my way through them. Last Monday I sat down to write out my to-do list, and it's about 2.5 pages long. So working on that.
Good. Thank
We'll
you.
get y'all taken care of it.
Rich?
Yes, thank you. The last month at the sheriff's office has been pretty standard. I don't wanna say great or horrible, cause it'll backfire real fast. Population in the jail, I'm happy to say that you guys asked and I answered, we're in the early 70s for population. We've come up about 10 people average per day. Our total revenue at the end of June, $4,733,064 since we started farming in inmates. Business has continued to be down. As of the end of June, we had 10,488 calls for service countywide. Just a reminder, that's all law enforcement, fire, and emergency service contacts. Comparing that 10,488 to last year, we were at 10,220, so we're a little higher this year. A little lower than the year before, 11,422, and just for reference, 10 years ago, we were at 11,117. 2025 budget, as you guys know, came to an end. Happy to report that we were under budget by $333,000, so that's what we're gonna refund. At the end of my 14th budget, I'm very proud to say that we're remaining conservative, and total refunds for the sheriff's office since I've been sheriff is $2,577,000. Excuse me, $2,577,230. We still give the same good service that we always do to the citizens of the county, in spite of being conservative and returning money to the general fund. During the last month or 6 weeks, we've lost 2 jailers. Both of those jailers came from another jail to come and work at our jail. One of them worked for us about a year, went right back to the jail that they came from, and was offered a promotion. The other one was with us about 6 months, came from a neighboring jail, went back to that neighboring jail, got a promotion. Can't blame either one of them for going back. Those sheriffs are a little quicker than I was to get them promoted, I guess. July brings the county fair. We will be out there seeing our citizens and treating them well, and I hope to see our general public out there. I would like to mention to the board that July is a busy month as far as anniversaries of employees. We have 10 employees that celebrate an anniversary in the month of July. Logan Bass is a deputy sheriff. He'll celebrate 3 years. Scott Bell's a deputy sheriff. He'll celebrate 9 years. Unity Hamner is a jail staff person. She will celebrate her 1st year completion. Same with Ian Longfield, who's a reserve deputy. Audrey Patzner, who's a dispatcher. Laura Ruby is our dispatch supervisor, and she's going to celebrate 12 years with the county. Tyler Ruby, they're related but not brother and sister. He'll celebrate 6 years working in our jail. Zach White will celebrate 10 years in July. He works in the jail. Tyler and Zach are both recently promoted to sergeant in the jail. And that leaves Chad Doak and I. We're both at 33 years total. Chad, as you know, retired a year ago, but he came back to work, so he's working on a half a year as a part-time employee, and my first 4 years were at the police department. I'll end with this. I'll ditto what Caleb said. July 4th, Independence Day, we're celebrating 250 years of independence, and with that will come a lot of celebrating, particularly fireworks, which scare the daylights out of me. I've experienced the big, bad, and ugly with that, but they are a great way to celebrate our independence. But please use good judgment, be careful, celebrate in style, have a lot of fun, and leave the big boomers to the professionals. That's where we have tragedy happen. So leave them to the people that know how to do them and know how to handle them properly. But happy Independence Day, Henry County. Thanks.
Thank you. Nate.
Okay, I'll try and make it short for you. Talked enough, I feel. So Ann got the abstract of assessment submitted to the Department of Revenue. That was completed on June 24th. Our deadline was July 1, so we were ahead of schedule on that. Board review adjourned June 9th. We had one person that appealed to the PAB, which is a higher board, one board ahead of our board. They didn't like the decision made by the Board of Review. That was Care Initiatives out of New London. It's a New London nursing home. They are arguing that they should be tax exempt because they're charitable. They're saying they're a charitable organization. I denied the application initially, and then the Board of Review also denied changing them to tax exempt, so that will end up in a PAB hearing. They have taken every nursing home that they own in Iowa, and they own nursing homes across Iowa, and they've taken every one of them to PAB. So We're talking about doing another, maybe a memorandum of understanding like we did with Chickasaw County on the tanks to save some cost in fighting this, to see if they should or shouldn't be tax exempt. There are some differences in other counties. Some of them have section 42 housing alongside of the nursing home, and we're not that, so we're trying to figure out which counties have similar cases to kind of bundle together and try and figure out if we're in the right or the wrong together on that, and I'll get more information as we move forward on that. As well as mentioned, the tank case in Chickasaw County, I went to the Supreme Court, and then they lost the case, so I will be removing all pressurized tanks in Henry County. And I won't know the value we're losing on that until I actually do the work, and I can't actually do the work yet because I can't roll up in Solutions because they're still having an issue with Senate File 2478 and how they're gonna apply the new homestead tax credit, which is 10% of your taxable value up to $20,000. However, the formula is 10% of the land value and 10% of the dwelling value after your rollback is what your homestead credit will be. And it's a nightmare for Solutions to try and figure out how they're going to implement that. So they, by now, typically as soon as the auditor would finish his year end, I would roll up and we would start 27 work. And I know that we're gonna be severely delayed on rolling up this year because who knows when they'll be able to say, I'll go ahead and pull the trigger, send it up. Because the auditor's office is gonna have to handle that credit, and it's gotta be through the Solution software. And they're really at a loss right now, so.
You wanna break that down, not all pressurized tanks, not everybody barbecue grill tank, but the large.
Well, and we don't
multi-story.
we don't currently assess.
Right.
So like the propane tanks that you have on your residence, the 1,000-gallon propane tanks, we've never assessed those. Those are considered personal property. They always have been. These are just the larger, the Kimgrow has the large pressurized tanks, 30,000 gallon tanks. So any of those we typically have assessed value on somewhere between the tank itself and all the stuff going to it, the saddles they sit in, we assess all that currently. Some assessors are saying they're gonna continue to assess the straddle, or the saddles, and put some value on it, even though they're removing the tank. So I'm gonna get some guidelines from Vanguard on what's the proper way to remove these tanks. And I won't take them off the property record card. I'll just I'll put zero value on them, so no cost. We'll still have them listed, we just won't have the value on them, on the tank itself. Because that's clear that's the way, it's gonna be, eventually legislation will adopt that as, it's been tossed around a couple times on this tank thing. Was it personal property? Well, now that they have the Supreme Court case, I'm pretty sure next year in legislation, it's gonna be a law, so we might as well just get ahead of it and get them off. So I'll just remove them all. And like I said, after I roll up, it's easier for me to track how much value we're taking away in Solutions. When I make the change, it'll come out, I say, I'm remove this tank pricing. I go in here, I put it in, your difference is $130,000 or whatever. I'll put a spreadsheet together. Each tank I remove, I'll tally it up, and I'll let you kind of know how much taxable value you're gonna lose with removing those tanks. It's not as bad as I initially thought. I did a query to see how many tanks were in the county, and what I didn't realize is in my query, it might be one parcel and there's 8, it's got 8 different things tagged as tanks, and not all of them are pressurized tanks. Some are the vertical tanks that that doesn't, it's still not affected. So it's not losing as much as I initially thought, because when I first looked at it, I was like, geez, we have like 183 of these. That seems awfully high, but it's the way the query is set up, it's pulling the same parcel 9 or 8 times, and maybe only 2 of them are gonna be removed. So again, I'll get you more information as I get that project underway, and it's gonna all be on whenever I can roll up my Solutions value. I could probably do it right now in VCS. It would just take longer, and it'd be a lot easier doing it once we roll up and I'm in the new year. So anyway, enough on that. Okay, wait a minute. And that's really, the only other thing I just wanted to say, one more time, I'm gonna remind everybody, Senate File 2478 is the one that they did change the veterans homestead credit, so I wanna make sure all the vets out there understand this. It used to be to get the homestead, which the veterans homestead credit is, you're exempt from property taxes entirely. So they have changed the rating on it. It used to be you had to be 100% disabled, or 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? Unemployable is what the term was before. So now, the service-connected disability rating of 60%, or 2 or more conditions totaling at least 70%, where one of the conditions has at least a 40% rating. You qualify for the Veterans Homestead Credit, and you won't pay taxes on your dwelling and the first half acre.
So if anybody has questions, come in, talk to Nate.
And I'll probably send you to Roger, because Roger, it's determining he's better than I am. He has a little more data than I. Right now, we're looking at our association is in contact with the Veterans Affairs Association to try and streamline this process. So first they go to Roger, they get Roger just signs a thing saying they are qualified for the Disabled Vets Homestead. They send it over to me, and then we verify that they are living in the home and that they're living there at least 6 months out of the year, and then we'll apply the homestead, Disability Vets Homestead. Right now, we have to keep the file showing their disability rating, so there's a HIPAA concerns there. It lists, and I would personally like to have Roger handle that. I don't want to see that stuff. I don't want to have the copy of that in my office, so Roger will keep all that. I'll have one document from Roger saying they are qualified for this credit, and then I'll make sure that the homestead part of it is being, the 6 months out of the year, and we'll administer that. But that's what I think it'll look like moving forward. And I've talked to Roger in regards to this, and I've already sent some people over, came in and had questions, and he said, yeah, they're good, so that's all I have.
Thank you. Lene?
Just a reminder that with Vitals, if you want to get your birth, death, or marriage certificate, the cost is now $20. We do not get to keep any of the extra $5. It all goes to the medical examiner, so it's going back to the state. I also have copies of the quarterly reports for you guys to look at. I've already signed them. Last month was a very busy month for us, and for the 3 months, we documented 810 documents. We recorded 810 documents. So real estate was very busy the last 3 months.
Thank you. And
He had a meeting.
okay. And Auditor Robin.
I just got back from a conference in Okoboji last week, learned quite a bit. We have a new House file that came in, 2490, and now we have to display the agenda 24/7. We have one little front door, or door that goes into the courthouse, and it's all cobbled up with all kinds of stuff. But now they're saying that we have to post it 24/7 for the county people to see what the agenda is all about. So that's part of our discussion today on an idea on what I have to do that. And it went in effect as of July 1st. Also, we're working on the end of fiscal year 2026. And we're working with the treasurer as well to make sure everything's all right with that. Just busy.
I didn't miss anybody on department heads or anything other than board of supervisors, if anybody has anything.
Should we do Jake or you want
Jake, you're the man.
Since I'm not special anymore.
Oh, you're special.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I got him a table especially
Yeah,
this morning
special.
too. I called him last night.
Okay, so I'll just kind of go through my normal stuff. We have the resolution coming up.
Maintenance update, territory operators, we did some spotting rock this last week. We'll talk about it here later, but we used a lot of our forces on Iowa Avenue on that project that we had there. We were hauling stuff in, hauling stuff out. We have been working on painting center lines. Right now, it looks like we'll be wrapping up on Tuesday next week. We should be finishing up our painting for the year. So that's went pretty well overall. Mowing, we're still working on gravel roads. We do have both mowers up and operating now. Entrances, we completed some driveway extensions. Some money, a lot of times when people do an extension, they want to widen their driveway, they'll have to write a check to extend the pipe and the labor that we do to do that. So we only work on extensions or maintenance pipes. And so we try to get those done so they don't run into issues with fiscal years. So some of those checks that come in, we try to get that work done before the end of the fiscal year. So we fit that in to finish that work. And then we had our boom mower out a little bit as well. But again, most of our forces, we'll talk about this later on what we were doing. So miscellaneous and construction items. The county quarry crushing, press and ready mix has been working on getting ready for their second blast. So they did a blast there I talked about last week. They're removing material around, setting up their crusher. They will be doing another blast and then getting that material moved to do hopefully their final blast. So they are out there working and progressing, and we're under MSHA out there at this point. So, and then 235th Street, the bridge deck replacement. The contractor continues to work on placing the decking and receiving some steel. So right now where they're at, they're working on the outside rail to get that set up. So essentially they're going to get the deck all ready to go for the subcontractor to actually start placing the steel deck. And we are looking at potentially they're going to do this deck pour in 2 pours. It's too large for them to fit comfortably, and at this time of the year with heat and stuff. So we'll be doing it in two phases, and we're looking at maybe them in 2 weeks. Potentially at doing the first pour if everything progresses as it's going. So time will tell on that. Obviously with temperatures where they've been, it's a little harder to work out there, just everybody with heat and stuff, but they are making good progress. Iowa Avenue. Maintenance forces, we completed a stabilization on the west side of the road. We've talked about this here for a couple weeks now. We have removed all the recompacted, fixed the drainage issues that we had underneath there that were new things that we found before. We poured the southbound lane yesterday morning. We brought our crews in very early in the morning and got started, and we're done by 7:30 with that pour with the temperatures. Got it covered. So kind of like hands on deck there. It was not a huge pour, but it was a large one to be doing at this time of the year. So that went well. We're out there today actually placing black dirt on the slopes, getting things situated. And then on Monday next week, we're gonna do a patch in the other lane, 2 smaller patches, just replacing panels, barring that the traffic lights don't have to go to another county that's been waiting on them. So we're hoping we can get that done. Worst case, we have to pull off, remove the traffic lights on Monday. We'll have to come back later and patch the other 2 panels, but that's the plan right now.
So there's nothing underneath there that needs taken care of, just those 2 panels need to be cut out?
On the other side, yes, we feel reasonably confident that none of that slide went into the other lane. One thing I will tell you is that anytime that when you're recompacting dirt, there could still be some settlement, but we have addressed the issue of, we found the slide, there was an actual slide underneath at that level, and it was a failure of a tile and a sand filter that we had. So we feel pretty confident. I just always say that anytime that when you're trying to get all this stuff done, there isn't that time to let that just sit there. So we elected to put the slab back in. We don't think it'll settle that much, but there is a potential that you could see some settlement. But what we're monitoring is the drainage, why the slide moved. We felt like we got that. Okay. We definitely addressed that issue. County shop, so on the second page there, we received quotes for a new water fountain and redo some plumbing to our existing eye wash station. So we have a pretty outdated, maybe older than me water fountain, so it's time for us to replace it. So I just wanted to let you guys know we ended up getting quotes from 3 vendors, and this will be installed in our breezeway between the 2 buildings. And the biggest reason there is for dust and everything else. So it's a cleaner environment for the guys, so they can fill their water bottles up or get water as they need to. And then our eye wash station is if you had an emergency, the plumbing there's we want to clean that plumbing up and get that in conformance to what we need. So we've entered in with C&M to do that work for us, and I just wanted to let you know.
that we did that. I think roughly it's around $3,500 to do those two things. The next one is a piece of good news. So CHBP, the NOFO, Notice of Funding Opportunity with Federal Government, for federal fiscal year 26 was released. And then the ICA grants committee that we're part of, we finalized our list of bridges to include in the grant. Luckily, Henry County has another bridge that was selected. This is the one up on 140th Street west of Franklin Avenue. We put that on our program this year. It's estimated to be around $825,000. It'll be a 100-foot by 30-foot slab bridge. And this will be a bundled project. So the next phase of this is we actually have to fill out the application with the other entities that are gonna be involved with this as well. So over the next 2 weeks, there'll be a big push to get paperwork in. We will have to have a 28E agreement signed like we've done for the other grants. We'll be requesting, or our department will be requesting letters of support from the sheriff's office, from the supervisors or legislature, to just show the need of this bridge project. So the biggest issue with this one is it's actually, the applications are due on July 27th. So the NOFO got released last Thursday, I believe, and it's due back on July 27th. So we've had a lot of we call quick emergency meetings to finalize our bridge selections. But again, that is a committee that we get together and review all the different bridges that we request counties to submit. And then through that process of data that we're reviewing, looking at different options there, we dwindle that down to a dollar amount that we feel that we can get approved for. So I think it's around 35 million is what the total grant will be for, that will ask for federal dollars. This would be an 80% project, so it'll be 80% federal dollars, 20% local. On this bridge that we're looking at, it will be using farm to market funds to be the balance of that 20%. We may get awarded less, but again, this is a great opportunity to get another bridge replaced in Henry County, potentially, that is not coming from our allocated sources. This is sources outside of what we normally have access to, so it's a great opportunity. Then I had a couple other little things just to follow up on. There will be a bridge grant survey. We did the last time around that we'll be doing some Facebook posts. We're probably working with the radio on trying to get people to complete a survey. That's another aspect of this as well. And then question I had was claims. Will we do another claim? I think our next claim is at the end of the month, and we're just a little concerned there may not be enough.
I'll look into that, and if there's anything that needs to come up other than that. Because it's awkward stopping at the end of fiscal year,
Yeah,
what we
it
have to
messes
do.
it up, yeah.
But yeah, and we'll look into that. Me and Amanda were just discussing that.
Okay.
So, and we'll send out a mass email to everybody to let them
Okay,
know.
all right, we were just wondering about July 9th if there'd be.
I'll double check for you.
Okay, and then just because there were some conversations about log jams and on the river, I just want to give a little comment there as far as how we handle it. These log jams are not the road department's log jams, but we have several bridges that are along the Skunk River. The Skunk River moves a lot of water. There's a lot of debris that comes down. Part of maintenance is to make sure that we're keeping our piers open. And so when we can, we pull out stuff that's along the banks. When we have to put a barge in, then it is a concept of releasing what's there, and there is an understanding it goes down. Now, I think just to be clear that the Skunk River is a long way, so there is a lot of stuff that's coming down that river, and we are at the tail end of that, and we do see more maintenance, and that's something that I have to deal with. It's again the risk of our bridges that we're concerned about. It comes and goes in waves. I think the last 2 years we've seen a lot more lately, just because of maybe somebody upstream is doing a lot of cutting and clearing, and they're pushing it up against the riverbank. I don't know where that's coming from, but it could be counties away, and I guess that's what I'm telling you is that's part of our process that we have to make sure that we're doing that. So we have been doing communication when we hired somebody to do it. Now, I will tell you, whenever a barge is involved, that's a lot more risk and liability for whoever's doing that work. I do not want to get into that business of having a barge and doing that work and putting our guys out there, because that's not our specialty. So there are limitations of how we do it. I'm open to discussions. I haven't talked to Caleb specifically, and that's kind of first. I just feel like I need to clarify that we're not doing anything that is unusual. When we can, we pull out and burn. So if we can reach it, we grab it, and we do a lot of burning. There's rules on that stuff. We're working with the DNR, with our local office here to communicate that stuff. What we can't do is put stuff in the river, and we have not put stuff into the river. But again, just looking after this last flood, there is another one down at Lowell that's at the bottom and that's picked up that we're gonna have to get somebody in there to do that. And one of the reasons that my concern is from a bridge perspective is you leave that out there, it only builds up more, and then that adds other issues. So the dam and different things and what Caleb's dealing with, I think is definitely a financial burden, and it's something that, you know, we do have to budget on our end as well to handle that, and we're probably better capable of that, to be honest. But there are, I don't even know how many bridges we've got. It's 4 bridges, I think, 5 bridges that we have that are affected by that. If you drive on 218, you can see that log jam that's now turned into an island, and I believe that's protected now, so they can't actually disturb that. So we need to stay on top of it, and that's what I would tell you. And I did let Caleb know that when we were bringing somebody in to say, hey, we will have a barge in there. I was paying for that up front to do it, and it is costly. So when you put the barge in, your prices jump up a lot. When we're just working off the bank, or if sometimes they can work off there. I just don't want to put our equipment in that risk, and I think that's the best place for me to hire that work to be done. So that's it, unless you guys have questions for me. Oh yeah, that I have to wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's an agenda we got.
I know, well, we're all right.
So that's it for that. If you want me to go into the next part, if you're done with the department,
Yeah, would you move into the resolution?
Sure. Oh, I was gonna tell you a little bit too about budget. So we did finish the fiscal year 26 budget, and I just some highlights here for you. Based on our FY 26 budget, for revenue, we had budgeted that we would receive $6.7 million. For this fiscal year 26, for revenue received, we received almost $7.3 million. So we ended up receiving more than what we were anticipating. 2 items that really cover that would be the road use tax fund. And this isn't normal, but this last year we received approximately $100,000 more than what they were forecasting. So when I come to you guys and present my budget, we have a forecasted dollar amount based on registration and gas tax. And in this actual fiscal year that we're looking at, that we just completed, we received just $100,000 more than what we were forecasting. So from the road department, that's a good thing. The other one was the ITC lease, that was just under $600,000. So from a revenue standpoint, we're looking good. From a budget standpoint, as far as what we were budgeting for expenses, we budgeted $7.3 million for fiscal year 26, and where we ended up at was 6.7, or just shy of 6.8 million. So we spent 92% of the budget on projects, equipment, all the operations that are going through our road department. At the construction local level, we had $641,000 spent on construction. Primarily one of them, $300,000, was for the bridge project up on Lexington, and the other $300,000 were culverts and that we did on Fremont and different things like that. And then we ended up with an ending balance of $2.6 million, which is $440,000 more than I estimated at January budget time. So when we were talking in January, we tried to forecast what our ending balance will be, so I know what we have to start the next fiscal year. And right now we're in a good position getting started. Having that money there helps with the rock crushing and everything else. But if you remember in my presentation, I always had that ending balance of the fiscal year 27. I think we were like $900,000. Well, now that we're $400,000 farther ahead than what we were, that means my ending balance for next year should be better than what I was forecasting at this point. So not a bad situation to be. Obviously, those are dollars that we can definitely use. Those are protected dollars to the road department, but it does allow us to do more projects and get some more stuff done that we need to.
So tied to that then, did you guys go ahead and pay for the excavator this year?
That includes the excavator there. And that's something else that, we'll be talking about. Originally, when I presented those dollars on that new equipment was for a tractor and mower, and that's what I would probably come back to you. One other thing that has been going around in the background with other counties, we have bought that shouldering machine a couple years ago. We're actually, there's about 5 counties, we're looking at potentially buying a reclaimer. And that's what we use when we go to do our stabilization on roads. And it's an agitator, so basically it mixes up the rock and it injects the whatever liquids you would want into it. But there is a used unit that we have rented before that we're in the process of figuring out, does it make sense? So at some point I'd like to present to you guys if we get into that realm of like, okay, yep, everybody's on agreement. Now, do you guys want to look at owning another piece of equipment with 5 other counties? And this is just something that, you know, we use periodically, but just not having that rental cost and having the availability to get it. So that's something else that we're looking at that would be able to fit into that without changing anything at this point, so.
Okay. One last thing, then, the RISE grant out here for Continental,
Mhm.
and what that's progressing along as you guys had planned. I saw a note from Zach, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, I sent an email responding back. We're actually gonna do a meeting here later this morning to talk. We got a response back from Jennifer, the lady from RISE, requesting more information, and we're trying to answer that the best we can. I think we're just waiting on a few more pieces there to see if we'll be successful or not. So.
Okay, thanks.
Jake, would you be able to work it into your guys' work schedule? I noticed there's a pretty good pothole right out here. Would there be any, I don't know if cold patch would be the best?
It'd probably be cold patch because our Durapatcher, unless we're gonna be out for days, we won't get that out, but we'll do some cold patch out there and might be able to work it in this week or early next week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, now I can read the resolution, sorry guys. Resolution 21-2026-20, whereas the Henry County Board of Supervisors set the date of June 25th, 2026 as the date to receive bids on a year's supply of petroleum products, and whereas the following bids were received and read. Companies: Agriland FS, Division 1 Gasohol, $276,249.60. Division 2 and 3 Diesel and Premium Additive, $537,422. Elliott Bulk Services LLC, $273,592, and for Division 2, $537,212. Pep Gas, $281,969.60 for gasoline, $541,922 for Division 2 and 3 of Diesel Premium Additive. Now therefore be it resolved by the Henry County Board of Supervisors in session the 2nd day of July 2026 that a contract be awarded to Elliott Bulk Services LLC for Gasohol in the amount of $273,592 and for diesel with a premium additive in the amount of $537,212. Be it further resolved that the chairman of Henry County Board of Supervisors be hereby authorized to execute a contract on behalf of Henry County.
Having heard the resolution, would there be a motion to adopt that resolution?
Make a motion to adopt resolution 21-2026.
Would there be a second?
There's a second.
Open for discussion?
Jake, I just think, you covered this last week pretty well, but just again, so we have all kinds of folks in the room and we're being recorded. We have a number of entities that get fuel from like the schools, the sheriff. And they all reimburse for, and they all reimburse for that. So just so everybody's aware of that. How many entities, roughly 6?
Yeah, it's probably close to that, yeah. So there are other entities. The city is part of this contract. They receive their fuel and they pay for it themselves. Get in front of me here, just give me a second so I don't tell you the wrong ones.
At least everybody knows that that's just not total out-of-pocket money.
Conservation's the same way. They get their, so they're the conservation's under this contract, the city shop, the city airport, the wastewater treatment plant, and city utilities. And then they pay for their stuff separately. And then we have the sheriff's office, the ambulance, and the school district that fuel out. They're the main ones. And there's the auditor, or courthouse, and Nate sometimes does too, I guess, if he drives. But yes, those all come out of our main shop, and then we bill out after that. And what this is, again, is it's a big dollar amount. It can be a little confusing, but what they're bidding is the margin, and that's what I'm showing you here. After analyzing and filling in the paperwork that they had, what they're bidding on is how many cents per gallon do they want to be paid or compensated for to provide us fuel. and Elliott was the low when we're looking at those prices, so. I think last week when I was talking, Elliott, when they provided their winter additive, they had it, based on a gallon of the product, and so they went back and they provided us what it was per gallon treated of the fuel itself. So that is, and that's what we're currently, I think we're currently paying 3 cents, I believe, right now. You can't see it up there, but yeah, so everything checked out. It's pretty clear that Elliott would be the right provider for us based on bids. When you're looking at the dollar difference, we're not talking a lot of dollars for the cents per gallon that we're talking about.
Thanks, Shake. Any further discussion on the fuel rating? Hearing none, do a roll call vote on,
White,
yes.
Dietrich,
Yes.
Lindy.
Yes.
Did you guys sign it? I'll pass it over there. Thank you, guys.
All you had then, right?
Yep, that's all I have, unless you have something for me.
The next item on the agenda was the discussion, as Robin had been brought up before, the display cabinet to be situated somewhere around the south door of the Henry County Courthouse to enable 24/7, 365 display of the agenda as per the requirements of the House file mentioned there, 2490. So we will get that put in place and move forward on that one.
What are we putting in place there? Just a board or what?
It's like I was talking to Tyler about it, and it's a weather resistant case, you know, like downstairs and where we normally hang our stuff. The sheriff has a case there.
Right.
It'd be something similar to that, but a little bit bigger. It'd be 48 by 36. To be outside to the left of the courthouse, right before you come in our parking lot.
Okay.
Because, as I said, the door's all clobbered up with all kinds of our closings for tomorrow, no smoking area. I mean, it's kind of good.
Gunnar, is there any opportunity to put some kind of a digital board there instead of just an old fashioned?
Yeah, so a lot of chatter throughout different counties have been talking about it from the IT front. Some are doing what Robin suggested, and some are doing digital signage boards that tie into what they already have, or just adding a simple setup for that. I mean, there'd be cost to run electrical out to it and networking capabilities, either wireless or wired. We have to think about those things. It can be done. I don't have an estimate of what that cost would be, but I would imagine it'd be significantly more than just doing paper posting. But it's up to the purview of you guys of what you're looking for, but you can do it either way.
And I think we need to talk about, do we want to drill into the stone veneer on the courthouse? Or would we want to put that on a post?
Yeah, I would get away from the building a little bit. I think the whole objective here is to give visibility to what we need to do with the House file, so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that a board just necessarily does that, and there are other things that we could potentially do with a digitized board. Rather, I'd just at least like to be able to understand the cost there. I know the cheap version fills the immediate need, but does it really do what we want to do long-term, or the potential that we could do?
I guess one thing to consider is if you have just a regular kind of board, some of those people want to have public notices posted or events, whatnot. If it's just a board, it can be put in there.
True. But
Where if it's digital, then you've gotta take like the minutes for the Board of Supervisors and have it like scrolling or something for people to see, and that, I can see IT issues, you know, technology, boards going down, things burning out. Regular board would be pretty simple,
wind coming up,
straightforward.
People vandalizing,
Yeah.
papers getting wet.
Well, you have a cover, with it being papers, there's a glass cover over it.
I
so it
understand,
wouldn't
but I
affect.
still think there's some opportunity from a digitized standpoint to get a little more current with the technology that is available. I'd just like to understand what it might cost versus what it could cost with just a basic board out there. I think there's some more opportunity to just overall enhance what we're trying to do from a communication and an engagement standpoint, rather than just a board that you actually have to look at, whereas when you see a visual, it's much more, it engages your eye more. The monitors are not very expensive.
Well,
Well, the cost wouldn't necessarily be from the monitor. It'd
I
be-
understand.
Yeah, it'd be from the software side and the
But
wiring, the one-time cost of getting it set up.
Now we're just kinda shooting in the dark.
Sure.
you know, there's a effective date of July 1, 2026, and then working through that, it might have its place, but if we had a cabinet and a post that could be put into place, could that cabinet be utilized elsewhere for other notifications?
Probably
that,
downstairs or
you know,
something.
outside your office or outside your office or anywhere, I mean, so it's not wasted. Could we utilize that elsewhere if in the future a digital board
I
could be
probably
put
use
in?
it up and take down the old work board outside my office as well and just put, like, you know, I always have to, publish like the township budgets as soon as they come in and stuff.
Robin, is this just the agenda itself or the?
It's the agenda.
No, not the.
No minutes,
no
just the
minutes.
agenda. But like I was leaving room for like extra things too, so. And again, this is just discussion. I mean, it's not a set plan. I didn't move forward without anything.
For the time being, it will be posted on the courthouse door until
Yeah.
alternative arrangements are made.
That's great.
Because it's gotta be there.
4 times, yeah.
Well, Gunner, on your gazillion things to ponder and think about, could you see what it would look like as far as
From a cost standpoint.
financial
Sure.
and getting something
Yeah.
put together? That way we'll know what it looks like.
Yeah, I'll reach out to some counties. I think some counties have already moved forward with some of that, and I'll see what they've done and kind of, I'll get you an estimate as quick as I can of a rough idea, what that would cost.
You know, and even, is it nitpicky enough if that's a rolling board? If it's rolled off that message, is it 24/7?
Yes.
You know, even if it rolls through a cycle?
Technically, no.
Yeah,
Depending on
there
how
you
long of
go.
a
I
cycle
mean-
it is, if it's rolling through, how long does someone have to stand there before they get a chance to, and if
Right.
it's rolling, how fast does that individual read?
Yeah.
There's
It really
opportunity
should be
to
a
do
static
picture-to-picture
display.
type thing too, so I understand what you're saying, but there's
I'll see what's
lots
out
of
there.
See what's up for the time being. Let's continue to post on that door, and that door is ugly. I don't think anybody,
And for people to stand there and read it when somebody's trying to walk in the
Yeah,
door,
but-
that's another issue too.
and that evolves into another thing. I'll say the door is fixed. The fastener has been installed, operating fine, so. Discussion of FY 27 compensation board recommendation.
Excuse me, yeah.
We talk about, it's a resolution.
There's a resolution,
Can we get
this does have to be set in place.
Continue it to a later date.
Yeah, we'd like to continue to that too. And probably not, I don't know if you want to do it on the 9th, but we obviously can't do it on the 16th. What date would you like?
Give me till the 23rd to get it to me.
23rd.
23rd, get you an estimate?
Yeah.
Is our next meeting? 23rd, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So we'll kick that down there until the 23rd.
Just make sure it doesn't look like a casino, you know, scrolling around.
You don't want the one that's got a big banner that goes across, flashing, agenda. Alright, good to know.
But it could say a public meeting, right? There we go. Public hearing.
Yeah, and not in such a way that we seen from the road where people are driving going, what did that say?
Yeah, I mean, is it turned it into a drive-through restaurant, you know, you drive through and look at the board meeting, you know, type thing. Kinda gets.
You don't ask questions anymore. Create too much work for
So
me.
you want it along Washington Street so everybody going by the courthouse can see it flash?
Yeah, yeah.
That is on the courthouse property.
Okay, so we have that issue taken care of until the 23rd, right?
Sheriff's office, yes.
That is not the courthouse property.
Where are we at? Just a couple-
Number 4, discussion of the FY 2027 compensation board recommendation for board supervisors wages, a 0% increase. Who wants to unpack that? It was unpacked, or it was given to us as a recommendation by the compensation board that the county employees would receive a raise, with the exception that the board of supervisors would get 0 raise last time they met. That's kind of the direction we've taken moving forward. It's been brought up now that that a cost of living or the CPI is not a increase in wage. It looks like it would fit a classification, compensation increase, a yearly compensation increase. So we want to talk about that, whether that needs to be allowed to the board of supervisors total compensation package or not. As it stands right now, it has not, and we're reevaluating that, looks like, so. Like comments on you guys?
Having attended the compensation board meeting, they, in my mind, quite clear in saying that we got a 0% increase, and that would not, that would even take in consideration any other thing, COLA, CPI, whatever you wanna call it. So, they told us we should get no increase, and I will stand with what they stated.
Was there a reason for that? I think this is that meeting, unfortunately, but is there
They
a reason driven?
Yes, they did discuss it, we're talking about our population, our salary, everything on that order. They felt that we were being paid significantly good enough right now.
Okay. Well, I'd have a couple of concerns with that, maybe 3. Number 1, obviously, this board, prior to me, paid for a compensation study. The compensation study was designed to include a CPI so that all employees that work for the county are eligible for cost of living or a CPI based on a specific point in time. That's not, that may be seen as compensation, but when the board looked at that, they looked at that for every single group of individuals. Now they're asking for us to take an exception to what the board had recommended for every other individual. So we're starting to look at gaps in the way that the compensation model was philosophically designed for, first of all, and then secondly, the compensation board makes recommendations. They don't make policy. That's up to the supervisors. we have taken the compensations board input as loosely as it is always given to us, because they always say up to 10%. A very liberal, open-minded policy there, if you look at 10% based on the salaries we see. The other side of that is as you look around this room, you know, the average age of the supervisor sitting here right now today is about 68 years old. We're pretty well locked into our, and that's a compliment to you.
Yes, it is.
We are pretty well locked into our retirement phase of life. If we want to enhance younger people to join this organization and to be leaders in our community, we need to compensate them appropriately. There are some young folks that may be interested, but if you're gonna take a 50% cut in salary and then not even get a compensation for a cost of living increase, we're not doing a justice to the community, I don't think, by saying, no, you don't get any salary increase because you don't deserve it. Well, first of all, tell me why we don't deserve it, because I don't think a declining population makes a good argument, because everybody else here is engaged in a declining population as well, but they're still being compensated. So the reality is, if we want more people, younger people to be engaged, we need to utilize the philosophical approach of the compensation plan as it was intended, rather than taking some input from the compensation board on this one-time item versus the other 6 or 7 people that are engaged in the compensation board. So that would be my input.
Have you guys considered just disbanding the compensation board entirely? Because I know some counties have gone that direction.
I think one of us may have mentioned that about 6 months ago.
That was brought up. It was also, it probably longer than that though. I think that to be factual, I think it was longer than that.
That was the
That-
discussion when you guys were talking about doing the matrix.
Yeah.
Why would we have two, why wouldn't we just get rid of the compensation?
That is a potential remedy, is to,
Have you looked at what Iowa code says too? I mean, it says that if the comp board says 0, you can't change that. You can't go above what they recommended, and you guys passed that.
well, I think to me, is the CPI, is that a increase in salary? By definition, I mean, if I have more money in my pocket at the end of the day, is that an increase, you know? Is it salary, is it cost of living? I don't know, so. I sat in on that meeting. I listened to what they're talked about. I even reached out to the county's representative on that board, and I asked him, I said, I just want to make sure I understood what your position, what your original intent of that meeting was. And he said the original intent was 0 increase for the supervisors.
And we could have this discussion in depth more, but every elected individual in this room had a representative on that board. And here we have a representative, and that person advocates for the board. That's their job. We have a representative that doesn't advocate for us as a group of supervisors.
We have 2.
But the point is, you know, I sent an email, it was kind of rhetorical in its nature. It was like, but if you have a representative that doesn't advocate for the job that they're designed and created to fulfill, they're not really doing their job. Is there an ulterior motive? Have to ask it. Every individual in this room, and I'm not concerned about the salary portion of it. What I'm concerned about here is the fact that we establish a precedent so that a younger person that is potentially coming onto this board doesn't have to face this situation down the road. So to Nate's point, yeah, I think there's some opportunity there. But again, when we talk with Paul and HR, CPI is not looked at as a pay grade increase. It stays within the brackets that were designed in the compensation policy. And those were designed for a reason.
So wasn't there conversation that if the bracket moves and the Board of Supervisors says no raises this year, that bracket still moves.
That's correct.
But your person doesn't move with it.
That is true. The
So,
brackets move as cost of living increases or the CPI goes up, that is true.
so you're setting a precedence if you allow yourself the COLA increase, and then a year from now you say, sorry, county employees, you're not getting any raise, but wait a minute, you said that we move with the COLA.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I would disagree with that because every employee in the county got a 2.49%
Yeah,
increase.
no, yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
And I would disagree with Rich's note to you, obviously, because he said that was self-serving. The reality is, I would look at that just opposite of what he said. I think that is self-serving because I don't know why a representative that would support an elected official would not advocate for those individuals.
You choose
Makes no
your
sense.
Don't you choose your own advocate?
Yeah, well, I didn't have any input in that, but yes. Okay. But I think that gets down to, again, the philosophical nature of what we're talking about. Did the board look at the brackets and the compensation plan? Did they truly understand what it was designed for and how it was designed? And again, to Nate's point, if we have a compensation plan that has been thoroughly vetted through our HR process, do we really need a compensation board to tell us how to increase salaries? I would say no. But to get back to the point, I don't think the compensation of the CPI is a pay grade increase. It follows the brackets, to your point, Kelly, of the way they're created.
I'm just saying that if you do that, you're gonna have to do that in the years to come for,
As long as everybody is impacted equally, I think that's probably all right. I'm sure Becky could tell us, but as long as we affect everyone, and that's the way it's designed. Everyone is designed to get a CPI. It's not designed to say, you know, and if you think back on the conversations we had, some of the conversation was, everybody in the county gets a 2.49, okay? That 0.51 is discretionary to the supervisor. Not everybody's gonna get a 3%, but everybody does get a 2.49.
correct.
Right?
But from now on, every time the COLA changes, we're all gonna get a raise every year.
Unless
You're
the
never
supervisor
gonna-
truly say, we don't have any money, you can't, nobody is getting a raise. We're not individually selecting one group or another. We're saying yes or no. That's the difference. Either everybody gets one or nobody gets one. And that's the way the model was designed.
Any further discussion? I guess I'm a working man, Steph. You know, I just had a working man thing. 2.49% increase. I could use it. I'm buying the same milk. I'm buying the same, you know, bread, that type of thing. Baby food, no longer, but you know what I mean. But I also sat in on that meeting, and I guess I took the original intent as no increase this year. I'd feel kind of sheepish if I come back and ask for 2.49% at this point in time. Maybe next year with a compensation board not part of it, falling right back on the whole compensation plan put into place. I think it'd feel better, but this year, if you guys do it, I will waive my 2.49% just because that's what I planned, so. Anything further? That was a discussion only, so we'll move on. Henry County Sheriff Rich McCamey, discussion and action on New London Community School District 28E agreement for a school resource officer.
Yes. Excuse me, John. Sorry. So as you guys know, each year about this time I come in with a
a 2080 agreement. This is our third rendering of it with the school board in New London. The last couple of years, the discussion has been, hey, can we make this multiple years to make it stick and make it convenient and responsible for all parties involved. I sat down with the school board a few weeks ago and was able to do that. So I have a 2080 agreement from the School of New London Community School District with our office for a school resource officer for 3 years. The only things that have changed on the 2080 agreement from its inception are the years involved and the dollar amounts. So the years involved will be the following 3 years, 26, 27, 27, 28, and 28, 29 school years. So they want to lock it in for 3 years. Nothing else has changed except for the dollar amount. The dollar amount per hour for this contract is $55.63, and that is calculated with all figures included. So the school board president has signed it, I've signed it, and I'm just here to get the chairman's signature if you guys are able to do so. Contract hasn't changed otherwise.
And like all contracts, you looked at this.
Becky has not. The previous county attorney reviewed it in the beginning.
We have discussed it, however.
Yes, we have. Yeah, thank you.
And you said nothing else has changed?
Not one other element has changed other than the years of contract and the dollar amount.
The dollar amount.
Does the dollar amount increase each year?
It does not.
What about if the salary of that employee goes up?
Then I will take that cost under my budget. That has been calculated into the number. Obviously I don't know the pay raises for that deputy next year and the year after, but I've taken that into consideration. And I don't know the cost of insurance
Or the cost of living that might go up, the CPI?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, good point.
Do you want to negotiate on this with the, I haven't talked to the attorney, has to look at it all.
Well, I'm thinking, should we have language that would address the hourly rate? I mean,
Quite frankly, Mr. Chairman, when I discussed it with the board, I said that I would incur that change because I wanted to lock in a 3-year contract. You three gentlemen and Greg, when Greg was involved, and their school board were always reluctant to do more than 1 year at a time, but I think all parties wanted to. And this was my way of making a 3-year contract stick, and they agreed. So, you know, I'm able to do that. I'm very conscious of my budget, and I don't have a problem with that anticipated cost.
Francis, you wanna look at it?
I'm familiar enough.
Okay.
And if our county attorney says it's good, I trust her good
I
judgment.
mean, Becky, you have not actually reviewed it entirely. To me, that we rely on you on all these, looking at every contract, and I would feel comfortable if you look at it, and if upon your recommendation that it was fine, then I'll make the motion that the chairman has the ability to go ahead and sign it upon your approval of it.
So the motion is, go ahead and sign it with contingent on the approval.
Correct.
And I would second that because.
Just as a reminder, the Henry County Attorney has reviewed that contract prior to the changes of dates and dollars.
The former.
You said
The former.
Yeah.
We asked her.
We'll have the current, and I would
As
second.
has New London's attorney.
Yeah.
But yes, I can get it to Becky before you sign it if that's what you wanna do.
Well, I think that,
We could even accomplish that today.
yeah, I think that'd be, it's a 5-page read, but I think we can get that done pretty quick. And I'll come out and sign it, whatever.
Just after the meeting.
Oh, you made the motion.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor indicate
Aye.
aye by roll call vote there.
Thank you.
Yes.
Dietrich.
Yes.
Lindeen.
Maybe I'm a stickler, but I mean, we have a county attorney now. I'd like you to read that versus relying on somebody else. So, I think that's kind of what your thought was as well, so. Okay, Gunner, number 6, discussion and action MOU and with the Department of Management for Henry County's use of antivirus software.
Yeah, so for a number of years, the auditors departments for every county have been required to use the antivirus CrowdStrike. I don't know how many years that's been, Robin, but it's that past 2.
Okay.
So about the past 2 years. This is the first year that they've come out with an agreement, is my understanding. And it's just a continuation of the auditors using that software. They also opened it up to all departments, or the whole county to use free of charge. And it's supported and monitored by the Department of Management's IT team. So in part, Brad and I are able to review all of the machines that are being protected, and it's also being monitored by the state of Iowa. And there's been a few alerts already of, hey, maybe something suspicious is happening, could you check it out? So far, there's been nothing of concern, but there are eyes on that we know of that are helping us review our cybersecurity posture. And so my recommendation is to just have you as the chairman sign this agreement. It's $0, Becky has reviewed it, and I think it's a good benefit to the county.
And there was a question, I think we'd done an email back and forth on, does this give the state just the ability to look at anything?
No, it's a dashboard that just allows them to see the machine, details about the machine, its vulnerability state. So there is some information sharing, but they can't just pop on your machine or start taking files off or reviewing things like that.
They don't have unfettered access.
Correct.
You know, abilities or anything like that. So.
And they also, this is, when I worked at the correctional facility in Mount Pleasant, they're the same entity that did the cybersecurity posture there in the same fashion. And it's a DocuSign, it's an electronic signature, so pending your approval, I'll send that your way via email.
Okay.
And they would prefer to have that back today if possible.
I got it, after I leave here, I'll stop by the courthouse and we'll just do it then, if that would pass, so.
Copy of it after he signs it.
Yeah, I can, yep.
It's like they don't work for the auditors.
Can do.
And you have looked at this? and
Yes, I
everything,
have it.
okay.
It's a lot of benefit for the county and no cost.
Yeah.
I like the extra layer of security, so I'm watching for malware threats.
You know, the MOU, is 15 pages. Anybody wants to look at it, I mean, here
You
it
can read
is.
it aloud if you want.
Huh? You wanna read it
No,
aloud?
you can read it aloud if you want.
I guess I would entertain a motion to, adopt this MOU.
Second.
There's been a motion to adopt MOU 2027 MOU-7822 with Iowa, State of Iowa and the Department of Management. All in favor, roll call.
We are missing an individual from White.
Okay. Yeah, White, I will say yes. Lundin?
Yes.
And Dietrich?
Yes.
That did pass 3-0. And Gunnar, I'll stop up, get that done,
That sounds good.
okay? Okay, Cassie Cost Advisory Services Incorporated, annual renewal of contract for professional services to Henry County. Who knows anything about this? Comfortable enough to explain it, so.
This is a company that'll come back and look at what the county has spent on working to have HHS services provided in the county, and we spend about $1 and get about $5 back is with them, so is what the norm would be, if I remember right.
So does that go back to the county or to public health or?
We've already, no, it goes back to the county.
And how does that get allocated out?
Because it's not public health, it's HHS, like
HHS, yeah.
that
But
facility.
they're separated services, but they've kind of assumed some roles.
Right. It's money well spent, because what is the contract, around $5,000?
It's
roughly?
yeah.
And we've, in the past, have said there's no way that auditor could go back and spend that amount of time at that price to get that done.
Right.
Okay.
So Robin, you're comfortable with this thing?
This year,
Yeah.
it's
Cassie?
It's every year, we've done it every
Yeah.
year, it's just a renewal that we have to put in their minutes, and I'll get it sent back to them today.
I mean, there's other companies that do it, but this was the best one we ever found. They are at our ISAC conventions.
Well, would there be a motion to
I'll make
enter
that
into
motion.
this?
I'll make that motion to renew the contract with them.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to enter into the contract or renew the contract for professional services, Advisory Services Incorporated. Roll call vote.
White,
Yes.
Dietrich,
Yes.
Lindy,
Yes.
Is that also a DocuSign type thing?
no, I need that,
You need this, this
Yes.
is the hard copy.
Yes.
Okay.
and if you wanna keep it and just sign mine, you can do that too.
Unfinished business has really already been talked about. Unless you have anything further to talk about on that. The 911 reimbursement, annual investment. And break that down, or what kind of goes along with it, so.
Yeah, that was the $12,000 we get back from 911, and then Joe had $12,000 or $15,000 he gets back from, or he pays rather in permitting, so that was that other number there, but we can cover that with Nate when we get together and understand what we're doing and where we're going.
Yep. Moving to committee updates. Mr. Lundin,
I had Great River Regional Waste Authority, we had nothing unusual on our plate this time. We had a update from our engineer, and everything is going good. We have, in the past, hopefully that we'd have a new gas collection system, but the company that we're working with is not fulfilling what it needs to at the time, or we're dragging its feet, so we're looking into what we need to do for the future, but we do not have to have a gas collection system in as fast as we thought, because of new regulations, so everything's going okay.
Mr. Dietrich?
I had no board meetings, but as Caleb said, I did attend the meeting last evening for the Conservation Board, so felt like we had good representation there. And there are lots of issues that we probably need to discuss with those folks.
And then I got one coming up tomorrow for Mississippi Valley, and then, or no, it won't be tomorrow. I'll have to see when they postpone or move that forward. But also, I'd like to start thinking about after the change of the year, what committees to sit on, interest levels, things like that, so. Mississippi Valley is one that would be open for options, so.
You just keep trying.
I do. Yeah, I do. And it'll, so, yeah. Other business. Henry County Historic Preservation Commission. Mr. Garrettson, you had asked to be on the agenda, and you're welcome to come up here and
Thank you.
share.
Yeah, for the next 2 hours, I'm gonna talk about historic preservation. We'll go through each and every book that we've done.
It's more interesting.
Could be. You can move those donuts out of your way.
I was gonna eat it.
Well, share them, pass them around.
Energy.
It's almost lunchtime.
I'm here with several commissioners, Pat White back there, Jeff McFerrin, and Kath McCoy, and Judy Rawson, so they're my backup in case I falter. Anyway, thank you for having us here. I've been a member of the Historic Preservation Commission since 2005 and have been chairman since 2017. And while I did not attend last week's board meeting, I was able to view it on YouTube, thanks to John there. So it's nice to be able to see that. It appeared there was a lack of understanding in how the commission is funded and operated. And I just want to come here today to clear the air. I've got a prepared statement here. I'll try to get through it pretty quick. But I want to address just who we are, the budgeting process we work with nonprofits, and fourth and lastly, the current projects that we're working on. We are a certified local government. We're an arm of the Board of Supervisors. We are one of the oldest historic preservation commissions in the state, 32 years now, and one of the most active according to the state office. We work for you. Our meetings are public, facilitated like any other government entity. We are required to uphold the standards set by the State Historic Preservation Office by attending required training on an annual basis, and that's in our budget. We do not receive any compensation, so we're unpaid, well, government workers working for the county. We are required to submit a detailed annual report to the county and the state to maintain our certification. An annual work plan and a budget is included in that report, as well as a scorecard of accomplishments for the previous year. And the board chair approves and signs off on this report. And this is a report that you guys receive and approve, and it had our budget in it, $11,000. In the past, the board has been very supportive and always trusted the commission to do the right thing with the funding they've allocated us. And it's been $11,000 annually for the 21 years I've been on the commission. And I don't know how they came up with the original budget number, but it's been that way. We've never asked for a raise during this time. So it's pretty good value now if you figure in the factor of inflation. We're given a monthly budget from the auditor's office that states our annual budget. I've got a copy of that here. And it had our budget of $11,000. It gives us a category of how much we used in the month, used year to date, percent used, and the remaining balance in our budget. The resolution that was rejected last week was not a last minute request by the commission. And you guys know that we've always had that budget. If there was an issue with that budget and you wanted to reduce it, we'd be fine. You just need to tell us and work with whatever you give us. And it's just as simple as that. That budget's been on the books since the first day of the fiscal year. I'm talking about this 26, so July 1st, 2025 is when that budget came out for us. Much of our budget over the years has typically been spent on placing sites on the National Register of Historic Places. We've got like 28 sites there. We also put up a number of brown historic site location signs. We've also produced a number of books since 2004, with the first book being funded with $5,000 seed money from the board, which is very gracious and appreciated. The books have been sold for a modest profit, and that money goes back to the county to maintain a balance in the treasurer's accounting system to help finance the next book. Well, we were never chartered or designed to be a revenue center or to be self-funded, although it'd be nice to be that way. The cost for printing books has gone up considerably, and today, $5,000 only covers part of the cost. But we try to we supplement that with our annual budget. And we get a lot of the money back to the treasury from book sales. And I can show you over the years some of the books that we've done. The first book was Unincorporated Towns of Henry County. That was done for $5,000. It sold for $26. So we actually made $2,800 on that. The next book, pretty much the same thing, looking back, see abandoned towns of Henry County, Iowa. Again, around $5,000 to produce. We brought in, we always make 300 copies, so another $2,800. The next book was History of Transportation in Henry County. At this time, book printing costs were starting to go up, so we didn't make as much. We still put out 300 books. Sold all of them, $30 a piece, brought back $9,000. Rural Schools of Henry County, a very popular book. It won a national award and a state award. Many counties have looked at this and use this for a model. Same thing, 300 bucks, $30, another $9,000 coming back. Our last book, Cemeteries of Henry County, has been very popular. Same thing, prices keep going up as we add, in this case, we didn't add color photos, but the more photos, well, there's a few color photos. The more photos you put in, the higher the price goes up on printing. Now, we also do a number of other government required activities that don't require funding. I don't have time to get into a lot of that this morning because it's getting late. But without a commission, Board of Supervisors would have to assume those responsibilities. And you do that by hiring a consultant, or you could keep us on board and fund us, and we do it for free. Pat White gave this to you the other day, and I will, if everybody wants a copy of it, they can. It's just kind of a recap of what the commission has done since 1994 up to the present time. It's pretty lengthy summary of things that we've done. So the good part, of late there's been a lot of discussion regarding government funding of nonprofits. Ensuing discussion last week, we're led you to believe that our commission handed out money to nonprofits like candy at Halloween, and that's just not true. So yes, in the past we have issued grants for small projects around the county if we had money in our budget to do so. These were not huge grants, usually from $200 to $1,000, sometimes more. The grants were for bricks and mortar projects, not just a donation to a general cause. We worked with the previous auditor using the 2021 state guidelines for grants to nonprofits, which required the expense to be fully documented for a specific purpose. And I went back in my files today and found this document here. It's Auditors and offers best practices advisory to governments on working with nonprofits. This was our guide for funding grants to nonprofits. We followed it to the T. The problem when the state auditor did their audit last year, and they found that it was listed a donation to Dover Museum, probably should have been listed maybe as a grant or whatever, but they didn't dive deep into it. If they would have dove deep into the record books, they would have found that we were following these guidelines, so all the documents were there. So that kind of irritated me a little bit that they were accusing us of impropriety. So, now in case you're wondering, and we didn't fund any projects this past fiscal year, we made no request. In the past, I'll just give you an example. We provided paint for the Benjamin Chapel, the historic chapel south of Trenton. We helped the DAR restore a monument for the county's sole Revolutionary War vet. We helped fund the restoration of the DAR's stone berm monument in Lowell that just was recently completed. We've helped the Heritage Trust Center prepare the building for all the Westland archives that got dumped on them. We helped a group of citizens restore the K-Line flag stop at Oakland Mills. We helped the Dover Museum to comply with ADA issues with their entrance. So you can make fun and mockery of nonprofit organizations and museums, as Leland did with his raccoon story. But funding the continuation of historic preservation activities, in our mind, is a never-ending serious business. Our annual budget of $11,000 seems like a lot of money, and it is, but here's a fun fact. With a population of 19,300, the cost to fund our commission is about 57 cents per person per year. But in closing, the commission had hoped to release a book guiding you to all the historic sites located in the county. It's taken almost 2 years to complete, and it's designed to enhance heritage tourism in the county, rich in cultural and historical resources. It also fulfills a state requirement to maintain an inventory of historic sites. It's about 95% finished. However, if you were here in last week's meeting, the resolution to fund our commission for last year was rejected as well, and I don't even know what's going on this year, but this included funds needed to complete the book. But, we would like to continue the support and respect from the board and the community. Our dedicated historic preservation commissioners have earned it and deserve it. And this is our latest publication we've been working on. And we worked with the Chamber of Commerce. We're trying to figure out different ways to enhance tourism. They put an ad in our Iowa magazine. So we thought we would do this. And this is kind of based on this tourism guides that you see in other states. It's comprehensive. It's full of photos. Well, this is a very old draft, so it doesn't have some of the things in it. But all the historic sites will be on maps. Easily, you can find them anywhere. They're categorized by nine areas in the county. We also make categories of historic interest, so you can find them in here. So museums in Henry County, we have sites on the National Register, veterans, monuments, memorials, historic sites, statues, pioneer cemeteries, abandoned towns, boulders, and the former Iowa Westland campus. So we're pretty proud of it. We're almost done. We just don't have the funding to go ahead and print it. We started the advertising campaign. This was to be released in conjunction with the 250th anniversary. So we're working on the advertising. All that's stalled out now. So it's kind of up to you guys to decide what to do. You can vote to continue to fund us in whatever amount you want, or you can vote to abolish us. It's up to you. So you don't have to make a decision today, but it'd be nice to maybe hear some comments.
Well, a comment, I don't think we voted to not fund you in total. I think we agreed to the last year's budget because there wasn't any payout of that last year. You got some expenses coming up from a book now and everything, and it's rolling into the new year now. So my understanding and my thought is moving forward, if there's an expense, that can be taken care of and paid out.
The resolution that you didn't pass was for that fiscal year.
For
our
last
budget.
year.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's where our expenses were. We had 3 line items. We had Pat's training. We bought 2 brown signs with the Imprisoned Industries. And we had $8,000 that we needed to finish the book. Three items. That was in last year's, in the 26th fiscal year budget.
So, when I was going on last week, Joel, I mean, I'm just trying, what I was thinking, you didn't spend your $11,000, you had close to over $3,000 in your budget, remaining budget.
Right.
Plus another $11,000 coming up, you had $25,000, and you've never carried that kind of money before.
I don't understand what you're saying there.
Well, you have over 3,000 in your ledger account right now, like 30.
That's in what they call the treasurer's book file.
Correct.
Okay.
Plus, if we would have passed that, you'd have 11,000 for last year, plus another $11,000 we've allocated starting yesterday. So that'd been $25,000. There's where I was coming from.
Well, but the expenses for what was done in that fiscal year.
But those hadn't rolled up, we hadn't seen those, and it wasn't deducted from the $11,000 that was on the resolution,
We
so
didn't understand
there's a
that.
gap in there. The
So you-
expenses were never deducted from the allocation. So what we saw was a reservoir of dollars that had not been utilized at all. So the $3,000
Well, the
carry
invoice-
over plus the 11,000.
But we didn't have the invoices till
Fiscal
late,
year.
late in the fiscal year.
Which is you do every year, that's how it
And
is.
I just
It's
had,
every-
just the cycle would work,
Yep.
not every year, but.
It's
there-
practically every year, yeah.
Well, it seems to be, yeah.
Yeah.
We don't try to
And
do
so that's
that,
when
but-
the old auditor had always taught me that, you know, that's when we transfer the money is at the end of the fiscal
Yeah.
year. That's why I came up with that resolution.
I never understood that method of accounting, it was new to me, where you spend your money and then just before the fiscal year ends, Shelley would drop that money into,
That's right.
to cover that.
Yeah.
I never understood
And
that.
that's how I was trained.
And that was where the concern is. And that's where the comment came from. Don't come to the last minute and ask for the $11,000. That was more of a rhetorical comment, but the point was, is we see 3,000, now you're asking, we're gonna give you another 11,000, and then another 11,000.
No, it's not.
But that's the way it works. If you look at the accounting ledger, if you look at the budget, that's the way it is. That's where the money is. That's how much money is there.
I believe that's two different funds you're talking about.
It may be for you, but from what we see, you know, if you guys break that down and show that to us, that's great, but from what we see the Preservation Historic Society with those dollars that Mark was talking about.
What short amount of time I have been on this commission, I have issues with the bookkeeping that is being done for the commission. There's two different funds, book fund and our regular fund. And there is never any consistency in what the courthouse shows, whoever keeps it at the courthouse, and what our book work shows. There's that, and it seems to have been a problem from what I've heard from the first commission meeting I attended. It looks to me that somewhere along the line, there needs to be some auditing or looking into how the funds are handled.
I think we've talked about just not even having that book fund, because it's been confusing.
Just run it all as
Just run
one,
it through.
one
That's
thing
what it's
versus,
supposed to be.
Yeah, and it was,
You were right, Joel, when you said that we gave you seed money a number of years ago to start that book at $5,000.
right,
And when you got the revenue, we said, just keep all the money
yeah,
and put it back in your funds to keep perpetuating what you were doing.
right.
So that's, and I did not know anything about a book fund. We gave it back to you to keep things going. It's at no point in you coming back and re-asking us for more money, just keep going.
So that, and the book fund, you can see it's, when a book sale comes in, it goes back into that. But that number has moved around. I looked at my records yesterday, and a couple of years ago, there was like 11,000 in the book fund. And I don't know where some of that got moved to, that was a concern.
I guess I'm a little
But
concerned, I'm a little confused. So maybe one of you can help me with this, you got more experience here, so Joel just said we have $11,000 in a book fund.
That was a couple of years ago, now it's
Okay.
down to 3,000.
Okay, so it's the 3,000 we were talking about, you still have $3,000 to work with.
Right.
Or you're asking for $11,000 for fiscal '26, that's $14,000, so I think your point is well taken. We don't see a good allocation of the money or how it's being spent.
I think my point is there's a big problem with the bookkeeping system. Big problem.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
How do we-
And from what I've understood, Shelley and no one else has ever been able to explain it either. Like I say, I've only been here a short time, but this is something that from day one has really bothered me. I have bookkeeping experience, and I don't understand the bookkeeping system that goes with this at all. And I don't understand it, and I don't believe you gentlemen understand it. Something needs to be looked into it, and being able to justify where money goes, how it's spent, when the commission's bookkeeping doesn't show what you show. It seems like you just move money around however you want.
No, I would say no, that's not necessarily a true statement in general, but I think to your point, yeah, I think that you folks have a general ledger where you're keeping track of the dollars that you have. We don't see all of that detail. All we see is the bottom line.
Then maybe you should look at the detail and not just at the bottom line, and understand what you're looking at.
Our annual allocation of 11,000, that always matches what Robin gives us. It's just the book fund that's a kind of a moving target. That we have.
I think that book fund should never got removed from your ledger account, the way it was presented.
To me,
You
I
have
think
like,
I don't know what
that's
it's
work from your books.
Yeah.
you have like, well, it showed it up, we got it here today. Right now, at the end of the year, you have $3,777 in an account
Right.
with us.
Right.
So, there's where it should be, right there.
But you gave us a budget of 11,000 to work with. in
Correct,
addition to
and we didn't see it spent.
Well, we gave you the invoices. Robin has the
Which is,
invoices.
we have summaries we give out at the end of the month every month.
Yeah.
Got some publishing costs and things like that coming up here.
Most of our
Well, we
costs
did,
come
yeah,
down
we
towards
got-
the end of the fiscal year.
So did you have more expenditures given to us by June 30th? June 30th?
Prior, well, it was prior, it was,
It was before June 30th, it was
Yeah.
like at the beginning of the
we
month
always
or the
get it
end
in,
of the,
we
yeah.
always get it in time for the fiscal year,
Yeah.
before fiscal year ends.
Well, with Robin being gone last week, it didn't help our situation of understanding that exactly. So, maybe we were short-sighted, because I looked at it, we were gonna be getting $25,000, okay? Or would have $25,000.
Would it be beneficial
Well,
for,
it doesn't carry over. I mean, if we don't spend the 11,000, it doesn't carry over.
And
It doesn't end up
the
being
11,000,
25.
that's
That's
25,000, that's what he's saying.
So 11,000 is passed.
Because that was
Right,
last
I
fiscal
understand.
That was last,
That's what I
so
would've
we didn't
seen.
get, so we didn't get that, so now we gotta start it. I understand that. I don't think you can fix that.
No, what I said, Joel, is I saw if we would give you $11,000 last week, we would have given you another $11,000 this week, plus what you had in your account.
Well, yeah,
Would have been
yeah, true.
$25,000.
Okay, sure.
So that's what I was going on.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure, I understand that.
Okay,
I think that's where we all were.
yeah.
That's where I was as well.
would it be beneficial if everybody, all the players got together and had a general powwow and discuss the accounting systems back and forth?
Yes,
and-
it
Yeah,
needs
we've-
to be straightened out.
We've talked about that, just eliminate the book, trying to get rid of it, and to me, it doesn't, it was to finance each individual book, or each book production. Anymore, you just can't do it for 5,000, so it's immaterial. I mean, all it is it's a slot for revenue to come in from the books.
Right.
That's all I could see it as, and then every once in a while, money will get pulled out before you or Shelley, I don't know what.
There for a while, we kept track of that, the last two book sales, or no, I'm sorry, the one before the last one. And then she says, no, we're done, we're not gonna keep track of that anymore. I was like,
That's where the problem is, that
and
the
I think
tracking
that's where,
stopped. and
yeah,
then-
so what I'll do is I'll go back and look at that book number, account number,
Yeah.
that we put that money into. And then,
Well, Catherine's right.
we'll take a look at
Yeah.
it, and then I'll call Pat White or you on it, and
Yeah.
let you know what we know.
So I think a couple things, Pat and Kathy back there, that, from our perspective, at least from my perspective, when we talk about budgets, we have a forecasted budget that we come back with, and rather than just saying, I want $11,000, we need to better understand that, because I don't think any money that we give to this community should not be questioned. It shouldn't just be every year you're gonna get $11,000, or $25,000, or $40,000. So there should be some justification to understand what the money is going for and how it's utilized.
And
if the dollar goes up, then that helps you as well.
And
to
that's the
help us.
purpose of
So,
this. This goes,
but
this is goes to the state, confirms that you're supporting us and giving us our budget. And here's a detailed work plan.
Right.
We don't usually have that, the cost of the work plan itemized out line by line. But at least you know where we're going, and if you got a question on what we're gonna spend it on, I mean, our name's in the roster, and they're easy to find.
And you have a bookkeeper back there who is very experienced at it.
We have some budget hawks back there.
That can help us through the process.
We do.
Me speaking for, it was never my intent to disfund any historical preservation. That's not the case. Taking the double hit there where nothing was spent, where the next year was coming up, I can see that. But to not fund your projects, whether it be a book or whether it be a sign or the research or the conference that you go to or things like that, that's not the intent of that at all.
It just didn't come out very well at the last meeting, and to the public hearing that was not good.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. You're always welcome.
We probably should come to more meetings, but we kind of work, we're not in secrecy, but we don't get paid, so we limit our travel as much as possible, get our work done.
No, I think Henry County is a big consumer of local history. I think that's I think those books are worthwhile projects. You know, I just do, and I will vote to fund them to some degree. Like Joel and I exchanged some emails. I can't always promise him that it'd be an $11,000 or whatever, but you know, do what we could.
Yeah, well, at any time, if you think there's a budget cut, we understand that.
Yeah.
Let us know. We work with what we have.
Speaking of what you guys do, have you had a conversation with the folks at Old Threshold about their museums, or is there a?
We kind of work independent of them. Because
That's what they say, yeah.
we kind of focus on the small local museums, and Old Treasures is kind of their own thing.
Okay.
I mean, we work with a little bit with them in advertising, but they're an association, and we're a certified local government, so we're kind of hands off, and we talk to them.
Okay, as long as we're talking, because that's kind of a conversation, is they have museums as well, and they'd like to at least have a conversation with you folks.
Well, they're in here, so.
They're in there, but they're not in your little pamphlet that you publish and pass out.
The last one, no, but the last one was designed just for the small museums, it was specific to that.
Okay.
So, in the future, we can always put it in there, but in other brochures, we have had it listed.
Okay, and I think the part of that goes back to we give those folks money as well to publicize what they do throughout the community, throughout the state. So as long as we're working together, at least to an extent.
That was at the annual Preservation Summit in Ankeny this year, and heritage tourism is a big buzzword. In Henry County, you know, tourism, you've got Caleb Waters and wonderful Parks Department, and then you have history, whether it's Old Treasures or small museums. So we work with what we have.
Understand.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming, explaining things. It helps, and you're always welcome, especially when it comes to budget time.
Thanks, Joel.
You're welcome.
Anything further on other business that I don't have reported on mine? Move into the public comments.
Steve, you like my hat?
Not particularly, no.
Well, I wore it special for you today.
But I'm sure you have a
You know,
case for
you brought.
Identify yourself.
Oh, everybody knows Bob.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob Beach, Canaan Township, out Union, Iowa. Okay. You wore your John Deere hat here a while back, so I had to wear my case hat. And it was very interesting today when we were talking about the cost of living adjustment. I retired after 30-some years at Case Company, and you retired after how many years at John Deere?
37.
You were management, I was labor. The only way you can guarantee a cost of living adjustment is in a contract. You cannot expect it as an elected official. The only parties which use the cost of living adjustments is Social Security, Veterans Administration, and the total disability. Unless you have a verified contract that guarantees you the cost of living. So I thought it was very interesting. I sat here today kind of chuckled myself a little bit. But I can see where you're coming from. I used to be a Democrat too. When I was in the labor union, I was a Democrat and I was working 70 some hours a week. I was looking at my paycheck and they was taking more money out of my paycheck in taxes than what most people made. I thought, now why am I working my butt off to support all these
Be nice.
Democratic socialistic programs? So I wised up and I went to Republican. That's enough.
Leland Graver. Mark, I gotta tell you, I took that t-shirt back to Waco, your old home school, and they're pretty disappointed. They don't understand the conflict of interest. They weren't asking for taxpayer money, and they just thought it was a slap in the face, okay? So, enough about that. Okay, there's some interest in our nonprofit, Henry County Backroads, the coon control population control. There's some excitement there. Just last week, this young kid got a part-time job and he asked me about going to work for us. And he's an outdoors kid, likes to hunt and trap and stuff like that, and he's got a friend. So there's an opportunity to provide some economic development, some jobs. And you can ask our local podcaster sitting right here behind the camera. He actually hit a coon on the road the 2nd of June.
I have to correct you. The coon hit my car.
Okay, okay, that's been corrected. But he still doesn't have his car back. And he didn't say if it was an insurance claim or not, but I'm assuming it is. And if it's an insurance claim, we all pay for that. And then some guy called me and watched the video, of course. And his mom lives in Lee County. And it's got a neighbor's got an abandoned car, and the coons are under the car and in the car, and she's getting tired of cleaning up the coon crap out of her yard. And he wanted to know if we could come down. Well, we haven't even put this thing together yet, but if you guys remember, you're throwing some money at Old Threshers, and they attract people from all over the state and all over the country, and so we're attracting people from out of county, and so if we put this thing together, which I think is a good thing, we could go out of county. A couple key words I think you ought to keep in mind, when you start funding this, some of these nonprofits or whatever, is Rob Sand. Oh, wait a minute, I got on the wrong line. Equal opportunity, I think you ought to keep that in mind. Okay, so last week I didn't make the meeting, but I watched the video. And very intelligent comments about solar and data centers and so forth. And I wasn't here, and I didn't have that much experience, but I did take the time and make a phone call to somebody that has an education and experience with this kind of thing. And so he's stepping me through all this stuff, couple hour conversation. And so he answered 2 questions for me. What's this stuff do for me, and how does it impact the environment that we all have to live in? And Bob knows about that. I heard him talk about that. So I would suggest you guys, when you do the research, find somebody that knows what they're talking about, not just a salesman that'll be gone. You remember the wind turbine thing, and there was a couple of salespeople came in here and they hung out for a while, and they're gone. Okay. So, just real quick. Somebody told me, I didn't hear it, that Paul Dennison, KILJ Radio, was on the radio promoting this new technology. And just a quick reminder, I remember when we were talking about the wind turbines, he said he's in the noise business. So he's just making noise. I wouldn't pay attention to him. All right, that's it. You're welcome.
Melanie?
Melanie Patton. A couple things came to mind today. One is public involvement. I think public involvement has gone up in the county in the last 2.5 years, but I think it's very important that people be informed and involved and know what's going on, reading the agendas. So I think the posting, however that turns out to look, is a great thing. And also, the posting on the website and just educating people. So I appreciate that you guys educated people about last week's meeting. There was a fairly good turnout to be involved in the public meeting, so I think that's great. The other thing is I'm hearing the conversation today is that sometimes in the last 2.5 years, I've noticed that we've come up against the way we've always done things. And so when we're asking for more accountability or more meetings or more transparency, sometimes we hear this is the way we've done it in the past, and I think that's good. We can learn from that, but I think it's also good to do things differently. And I appreciate Mr. Dietrich's comments about the average age. So I noticed that when sometimes the average age of the public in attendance is a little higher than my age, and now I think I'm kind of coming to middle age. And so I appreciate that we are trying to get more young people involved. And I think if we do things differently and educate people that this is important, that important decisions are happening here, that our average age of people paying attention lowers, because in the past, generally people don't show up unless something impacts them and they realize that important decisions are happening here. So thank you for the efforts that have already happened, and thank you for continuing to make the public more aware. So whether that's being on KILJ or having this board outside the courthouse or the flashing casino sign that Gunner's gonna check into, or whatever it may be, I think it's important for people to be involved. And for the public that's watching, pay attention, because things are happening and you need to be involved. So thank you.
And we will learn from the past.
That's right.
Anything else?
I have a public comment, good.
Sure.
I just wanted to say, this is my new news person, Kathy Snow. So she will be coming to meetings and reporting for KILJ. So welcome, Kathy.
Welcome, Kelly. Also, I had one little blip I wanted to share. There is now sitting on the west courthouse lawn a picnic table. It's a new picnic table. Anybody want to guess what it costs?
Is it steel or concrete?
$0. It's on loan. We're on a trial run to see if anybody uses the thing or not. I've seen one person sit at it so far.
Wood and steel.
It's on a trial run though. It didn't cost anything. So.
It's wood and steel, Mark?
Yeah. Other than that, anything, Jay? Robin, anything? Mark? Nope. Nothing. Motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second? Second. Okay, a motion and second to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment indicate by aye.
So, did you watch the entire 3 hours? I did. I hope you did too. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my sponsors, and they are Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, and Iowa Technology Systems. Remember, give this episode a like, follow, and subscribe. That's how it works, folks. And all the folks that tell you in the other news businesses that they don't want your clicks, they don't want your likes, they're lying to you, because they need those clicks and likes, because that's what they share with their sponsors, to let you know you're either listening to their radio station or going on their Facebook page or listening to my podcast. So thank you for that. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.